What's going on, man?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. All right.
Welcome to the A1 Podcast. Your host, Oscar Lee. I'm joined by San Diego State, Indianapolis Colt, Arizona Rattlers, and now Consumus O's assistant defensive, I believe, defensive lines coach or linebackers coach?
Defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator, Cody Galea. Cody, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing good. Just got done with work. Got a
Yeah.
couple hours to hang out with you, and then gonna go work out again and then teach a class. So nice and
All right.
busy.
Yeah, actually, yeah, and I think we haven't spoken, I think, in over a year since I left Sutter, or close to that, because I left Sutter
Yeah,
earlier
it was
this.
right around when the year started when all this crap went down.
Yeah, yeah. Are you still with them or?
Oh yeah, I'm still working remote, all
Nice.
that good stuff. So it's
Yeah,
actually been pretty nice.
yeah.
I'm the one of the outliers that really likes this entire work from home thing.
Me too. Exactly. It's nice. And so obviously, I think if I'm not mistaken, you were at integration. Actually, we're not gonna get into work, but we met at work, and then it just so happens that we have a lot of mutual friends. One of our guests who was on a few weeks ago, Brett Swain,
Yeah.
he's also an Aztecs alum, and you obviously, you obviously know him, for also being an
Oh
Aztecs
yeah,
alum.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then obviously Rob Andrews as well. You know Rob from Foothill, and it's
Yep.
crazy. Yep. I remember when we first chatted, we were talking about kind of like, oh yeah, like I showed you my page, and you're like, you don't have a page, but, and then you showed me the NFL stuff, and I'm like, God damn, this guy's flexing big time. That's at
That's
least
all
one
I
of us.
had. That's all I had.
That's all you had.
I don't even think they have. I don't even think on the NFL website. I don't think it has my picture up anymore, and I don't think it has anything that was on the. I was on the Colts. It's almost like a scout profile.
The scout profile, yeah, it is
They
what it is.
kind of deconstructed that page. It's not really worth much now.
All right. So yeah, how's besides, so how's 2020 been for you? I mean, obviously, have you still been coaching and kind of, I mean, how's
Yeah,
it
it's
been?
been weird. It's been really weird with all this stuff going down. So we never got to get into spring football
Right.
as a staff. So we ended up having a quick amount of time where we were able to go work out, and then it got shut down in the middle of summer. So during when spring ball would have happened around April, we were doing all Zoom meetings. So I
Right.
had Zoom meetings with my defensive guys, and I split the groups up between D line and linebackers. Was just going and install just the basics of the stuff you would need when you get on the field, so you know what I was talking about. And we did that probably about a month, and then got into, I think we got in July, end of June, July is when we started. We got maybe 4 days in, and then they made us shut down for reasons that don't need to get into. It was not COVID related. It was related to some other rumors that were going
Oh,
around.
actually, no. I read the article
Me
about
and
that.
Andrew, yeah, me and
Yeah.
Andrew had to go deal with some BS. Him more than I. Um, but we had to do interviews and stuff. It was really stupid. We finally got cleared once the county came out of the whatever tiers before those were implemented. We finally got to get out and practice and lift weights and get on to an actual football. Like, hey, we're gonna get rolling. We're gonna see how this goes. And then right around when we thought, hey, we might get to play, camp's gonna start in about 2 weeks. They decided to go back into another lockdown. So we haven't had any contact with the kids, or at least I haven't. Practice field wise since then. So we haven't done any practicing. I know the kids are working out and they're doing the best that they can, and they're kind of scrambling because now it's a weird thing for recruiting. Like, luckily, we had a kid that was committed to Cal, one of my linebackers, and we were fine. It was like, yeah, you don't even worry about if we have a spring season, we're not letting you play. Go.
Right.
Like, you don't worry about it. But I have other kids that I train and other kids that are on the team that have offers on the table. And while maybe they're not the offers they want a bigger school. They want the Pac-10, the Pac-12. They want the Mountain West. They want that, and they don't know really what to do. It's like, do I commit to the school that I don't really want to go to? It's nice to have, like, hey, I have this offer.
Right.
They're asking. I'm like, honestly, I have no idea what you should do. But
Yeah.
the only thing I could say is the only thing I said to everyone is don't say no to free football. Like, just make sure that you are set and ready to go to play in school. And because you never know, we don't know how long this thing lasts. You don't know if you take the junior college route. Does the junior college get to play? Because they didn't get to
Yes.
play. Like the unknown is so vast. I was saying, if there's a cool school with an offer on the table, take it. I don't care if it's in the middle of BFE, take it, because now at least you know you have a place to go, you have a place to play, and if
Right.
anything happens, the it's better to have it not need it than need it and not have it. And it's essentially what I told every kid. I'm like, if they let you, come in, sign. do whatever you got to do. Take it. Just play football. That's the key.
And it's funny you mentioned that because one of the fifth episode we had Lofa Tatupu on, who obviously played for the Seahawks, and he was talking about kind of the high school seniors who are going through this right now, kind of where they're not able to play their senior year, they want to go to a bigger school, and his mindset was that because when he was coming out, he actually had a bunch of D1 AA offers and a bunch of 1A offers to play QB. He ultimately ended up playing linebacker, but he had to go to D1 AA. But most kids in that position, that situation, kind of would have that conflict where it's like, okay, well, I have this school, but it's not the school I want to go to. It's not, like you said, it's not the Pac-12, it's not the Mountain West, not the SEC or wherever, right? And obviously, but with the COVID situation, it's kind of limited those opportunities because you can't get the film, So
yeah, because a lot of guys needed that senior year.
Right.
There's been Jordan Campbell, who's also a USC guy. They did an off the record camp, like season almost, kind of like how the spring league works to try to get guys back in the NFL. They did something similar to that over at Winter Circle down in Norco, and got one. I mean, you can get to the numbers. They had no rates, no pass rates, no infections or anything like that. But they had a bunch of kids actually get offers and scholarships off that because if a school looking for, they go, we like you, we like your film, we just want to see the progression into who we think you're going to pretty much build in to be. They just needed it. So that was actually something that was cool, went against the rules, and they kind of didn't say anything about it until it was after. So like, there's a few articles about it. It wasn't a huge thing because they were very, very just hush hush about it. That's what the kids need. And another problem they're running into is the schools don't know, they're not having any scholarships kind of coming out of nowhere because kids are getting this 5th-year option because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when normally you'd have 25 scholarships to give, they only have maybe 10. They're not losing guys. There's guys that are going to stay and keep those options. So now they go, hey, we had 10 kids commit in the offseason. We had a bunch of guys kind of waiting. So we're going to take those 10 kids, and you're kid number 11. You didn't want to commit back in April, but now we don't really have a spot for you.
Right.
And then options get into, hey, is a gray shirt an option? Is red shirting is a preferred walk-on until the time an option? It's I don't know too much into it. I haven't talked to anybody I know in the college scene how they're dealing with it. But this is all just assumptions.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen in the normal landscape. Right. I'm assuming it could be, but then again, you don't know what's going to be like in 2021 or 2022 when it comes to, hey, how many scholarships do we have? Do we have a guy here for 7 years because he went into his 5th, didn't get to play, and we're not going to make him not go home? We're not going to kick him out. Like, he still has eligibility left if the NCAA is passing it. So weird landscape. I feel bad for the kids. That's really, I mean, why I wanted to coach football. I wanted to go down and play. Like, we were slated to play Mater Dei down at Mater Dei, and we're like, I was like, yeah, I grew up in Southern California. I was like, I want to go back. My dad coached down in Southern California. He's like, I want to go back and play Mater Dei. I want to go. Yes, let's do that. But then again, it's not about me. I'd rather we could just have 4 scrimmages at home against like the local teams. I don't even care if we just play Elk Grove and Folsom or whoever's in our town. Just play scrimmages, not even like sanctioned games, just to get kids film. Say, look at this kid. This is what he did last year. This is what he's doing now. And then they go, boom, pull the trigger, because you just want the kids to have opportunities. It's not really about us. We don't get paid that much. It's just get kids out, get kids the same opportunities you had, and then just roll from there.
100%. And it's funny you mentioned that because when I was at Whitney last year, I mean, that's what that'd be a school, be like, oh yeah, get Whitney against Cosumnes Oaks, kind of get a little scrimmage going, because we also had some, returning seniors for this year who, would obviously would benefit from kind of those scrimmages and games you mentioned. So, I mean, it's good.
Yeah, a couple of those kids train with us and do the 7-on-7 on this other like side. Football is a small world, everybody knows.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The same thing where they're going through the same stuff, asking the guys that I work with over at the gym, like, what do we do? And we don't have a good answer.
Yeah.
We don't have a good answer, and it's all just kind of, hey, get in where you fit in, find out what the coaches want to do. It's pretty much up to the coaches. They're ones giving out the offers. Like, you do what they want.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So yeah, you kind of alluded to the kind of how we're going to start. So, you mentioned you grew up in Southern California. Your dad coached high school football. Talking about your early life, I know you were born in SoCal, and you're obviously a Rams fan. But essentially, kind of talk to me, kind of about your early upbringing. Was football your first sport? And kind of talk me through that.
Football was not my first sport. It was the sport I wanted to play, but I played almost every sport in the book, like at least 1 year, or I attempted to, and the league didn't happen. until I said like, hey, can I play? Because I didn't want to play flag. I wanted to play real football. So I remember I played soccer, I played baseball, I did hockey one year. I did the whole tryout for hockey, bought all the stuff, and then the league ended up not happening. But then it was the next year. I was like, can I play now? Like 9 years old, they let me play. And I remember their reasoning being because when you get age and weight, I was a bigger kid, obviously. So I was playing up at 9 years old. I was playing with 11-year-olds.
Right.
And I even had a culture shock when I went in. First year kid, I played like half that team was third year dudes. It was junior Pee Wee, and they were on the like 2 undefeated Mighty Mike teams rolling up. So now I'm dealing with kids that are 2 years older than me with 2 years of experience over me. I got rocked my very first hitting drill. Absolutely rocked, crying, air blown out. I'm like, this is terrible, oh my God. But got back up, did it, called the same kid out the next play, gave him everything I had, and was just like, yeah. I remember my dad coached me all the way up until my sophomore year in high school. And he laid it down just like every dad will lay it down when they're really into football. He's like, it means a lot to me. I put a lot of blood, sweat, tears, whatever you want to call it. Like it's just something that's part of me. It's not just something I did for fun.
Right.
If you play, you got to play it the right way. You got to listen to me. You got to let me coach you.
Right.
But when you play, like you show up and you play. You don't take it for granted. You don't go out there and half-ass it because that would be the first ticket back home. Like you're not going to play football. So it's the only sport he ever said that. Baseball was let's play fun, soccer, fun, basketball, fun, whatever. We're doing it. But when it came to football, is either you do it the right way or you're not going to do it. And he made it very clear, and it kind of instilled in me. And that's kind of how I played through my years. So I did junior Pee Wee and Pee Wee down in Southern California for Rancho Cucamonga. And I remember the 2 biggest names out of there were Eric Weddle and Terrell Thomas, who played at SC for the Giants.
Yeah.
He was a DB. So those are the 2 guys. Remember Eric Weddle's from Alta Loma, Rancho Cucamonga, that whole area. Moved up here for work. I know my mom got laid off and she got a job at Sutter Health back in 2002. So she's been there for 18 years.
Wow.
We moved up here, and I remember if you're from Northern California and you live in the Elk Grove area, the Sacramento area, or the powerhouse football teams of the entire region, maybe on the realm of De La Salle, wholesome type stuff, is Elk Grove High School. Right. Elk Grove was the dominant in baseball. They still are dominant in football. Doesn't matter what kind of year they're having, they're playoff bound. I didn't think they had a really great team last year, and they won the fucking section title. Beat us in the 3rd round and beat Whitney for the title. And we're like, oh,
yeah.
Yeah. But Elk Grove is big. Elk Grove is big time football. You're talking Lance Briggs. You're talking big guys that play long times in the NFL. Guys that play long time. I think there's the head coach of the baseball team right now has 5 kids under him that are playing big league baseball, not farm system. They're in the big leagues. One of them is his son. So like, growing up with these guys. So Elk Grove's big. We didn't know that coming in. Because I remember in Southern Cal, I was going to go to Los Altos High School, which was brand new.
Right.
So we came up here. We went to the brand new high school. We aligned ourselves with it, and they had a junior football program, which is completely different than Southern California. Southern California is all Pop Warner, at least in the league I played in. So Pop Warner. So we had multiple teams in our divisions, multiple uniforms. You play other Pop Warner teams. When you get no cuts, they had enough kids, they just make another team.
Okay.
They have like 2 teams of 30 as opposed to cutting down to 40 and having 20 kids not play that year.
Okay.
Up here, it's junior football. So they're feeders into the program. They're full on. We were Franklin Junior Wildcats feeding into the Franklin High School. But you didn't have to. There was no rules about it. All my friends played for Laguna Creek and Elk Grove, and then half of them came to Franklin for high school. I remember I got my ass kicked for 3 years because we didn't realize Franklin's brand new. All that Franklin Junior Wildcats had was the president and the vice president. Their first coaching hire was my dad.
Awesome.
Very first coach. We got the very first win, which wasn't that season. It was the season after.
Right.
And we just got spanked repeatedly because we were just like this. The ragtag team got put together. And that's when I kind of came into who I thought I was going to be as a football player. Now it was my 3rd year. I was playing middle linebacker now. I was the best player on the team. But then it correlated over. I was the best player on the field anytime we played. I mean, obviously, it was up for debate for other parents. I think their kid was better, but
Can I stop you right
these
there?
kids,
Remember you? I mean, you know this coaching. I experienced for the first time coaching Whitney last year. I mean, dude, the fucking parents are like all over the coaches because they're like, my son is so much better than this. It's like, dude, if you think you can coach better, here's my visor, here's my whistle, here's my clipboard. I'll sit down and you can coach for me. You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead.
it's the classic stuff. Yeah, so I grew up and then did Franklin Junior Wildcats and then fed right into the program. And I remember my dad didn't coach. He coached me all the way up until I was done. And then when I was a midget, I think. I want to say I was an 8th grade or or I made it when I was a freshman. My dad got a job as the D-line coach for the varsity football team at Franklin.
Right.
So my first year as a freshman, I was on the freshman team. And then my dad was the varsity coach. And I could talk for days about my dad as a coach. My dad, great coach, very, very underrated as a guy. When you get around him, you go, wow. And just the way he is with his knowledge and how he's a leader of men is his big thing. He can get kids to buy in. So remember, he walked into a team that had a bunch of kids that were written off. Walked in and said, this guy sucks, this guy sucks, this guy sucks. He goes, what are you talking about? The kid's 6'4", 280 pounds. He does. I'll make him not suck.
Right.
So all of a sudden, Franklin now had the biggest offensive line, the biggest defensive line. They went to the playoffs for I think the first time. I don't know the details on that, but I do know we went up to Nevada Union as the first year they're in our league, and they scored the most points ever to be scored on them at home ever. And Nevada Union is powerhouse football up in the Northern California region. But yeah, so he started there, and then I played my freshman year, and then did my JV stuff my sophomore year, and maybe 2 weeks into camp, I did the JV camp. I didn't go to the big college camp at the varsity. Like 2 weeks after that, though, I got pulled up to varsity.
Yep.
But it was a complete position change. I remember I didn't really get communicated this a ton, and they didn't communicate it to my dad either. So I'm like coming home going, I don't know what the hell's going on. I play fullback and I play middle linebacker. That's what I do. And they're having me play defensive end and not telling me why, and having me play guard and not telling me why. I go, no. I remember the first day I just went with the middle linebackers, and the coach gets pissed and he talks to my dad about it. He goes, well, you didn't tell him. You're not giving him a reason. Apparently they were setting me up. They thought I was going to be this big time defensive end guard. That's what the coaches in college wanted to see. And I was like, I don't think so. But I did it. I just said, fuck it. I mean, I still make the most plays from there. So I'm killing it in camp. At one point, I'm like the goal line fullback on the JV team. Because you just give me the ball, I'm running everybody over. Because at that point, I might add, I walked into high school at 6'1", 190 as a freshman. I wrestled as well. Wrestled varsity. I won a tournament. I won the first varsity tournament the school had ever won at 189 pounds as a freshman. First to ever do it. And then I played baseball as well. Got pulled up to JV halfway through, and then got pulled up to varsity at the end.
Yeah. So
I was a decently sized kid, decently in like good player in multiple sports. My sophomore year, I'm about 6'2". I grew an inch, and I'm about 205, 210 pounds. I ended up wrestling at 215 pounds and became a subsection champion in the second ones. I alternate. I was a division champion one year, and I was a subsection champion the year after. I can't remember what year it was, but at one point I made it to Masters as a champion.
Right.
But I was 205, and I remember they're making me play end, and they pull me up, and I'm playing defensive end and guard on the varsity. So I'm starting on varsity, but I'm not playing any of my positions. So I'm like, well, I mean, it's varsity. This is what I always talked about, wanted to do. My dad did it. My uncle did it. I want to play varsity as a sophomore. So now I'm playing right guard. And I remember I got a sack in my first game playing end. And then the second game, we're playing Lincoln of Stockton. And Lincoln of Stockton had a big tackle that was going to SC. Like, they're big. That's where Brandon Cooks played. They're big time football.
Right. So
I remember we ran a spread option with a lot of pulls and stuff. And I remember playing guard. We ran a counter to the left. So I pull, kick out the guy, and our quarterback takes it for a big, long-ass touchdown. They go, yeah, you're playing guard the rest of the year. You're the starter. You had a senior starting at guard, but he's starting two ways. And I go, we like him better on defense, and you can hold, this is your spot. You dominate. I was like, okay, I guess we'll start here the whole goddamn year. I'm wearing number 50. Never wore a 50 number in my life. Wearing number 50, playing right guard, and started on the playoff team. Just pulling, knocking guys out, even against the big schools, the Nevada Unions, the Elk Groves. I'm laying kids out, doing solid. Very salty that I didn't get any kind of like honorable mention all league or anything, because I was by far the best guard in our league. Like there's nobody that was pulling better than I was. So I sucked it up, did the whole thing. I was like, okay, so what happens this next year? Cool. I'm a varsity starter as a sophomore. I'm on pace to be a 3-year starter, even though it was predominantly at guard for whatever the fuck reason. Next year, our head coach retires. I put that in quotes because he came back the year after. We get a new coach, and they just said they brought in a new staff. For some reason, didn't bring my father back. When my father goes, cool, I'm going to be a spectator. I walk in, and I just kind of go, yeah, I play linebacker, and I play tight end. That's what I do.
Nice.
Like I started last year.
Right.
Like I'm one of the returning starters. I started like 8-9 games coming through. I play linebacker, and I play this. So we didn't have a good season. We had a team that was loaded with talent. We had Ethan Westbrooks was on that football team. Ethan Westbrooks played at West Texas A&M and then played for the Rams for roughly 5 years. Popped up on Hard Knocks last year when he was with the Raiders. He's been bouncing around. Big, athletic dude, like extremely good football player. We had another guy that played at Texas State. One of our safeties played at Texas State. One of our guards and our D tackles was the national champion heavyweight. Went to 2 different schools on scholarships, 2 years, then transferred 2 years more to wrestle. They had a wrestling scholarship.
Yeah.
Quarterback played at Utah State and Arkansas State, and then played all over the AFL. Wide receiver played at New Mexico. A couple on our O-line had some JUCO careers that just didn't really pan out once they got through. But we were loaded with talent, ended up going 4-6, and the way the playoffs worked back then, we didn't make it. Didn't get in the playoffs. But I give a lot of credit to that head coach. While he wasn't the best head coach, he was a good football coach. He was a Sac State fullback, very, very knowledgeable in what he did. But just the team didn't have a good mesh. Right. Like we didn't really get to go anywhere. But I got to do whatever I wanted to do on that defense. And me and the middle linebacker both broke the school record. He had 5 more tackles than I did. We both broke the school record. Him with 139, me with 134. And I forget to mention, he wrestled at UC Davis, took a full ride to wrestle at UC Davis, was there a year before they disbanded their program. But we had a stacked team. We just weren't, we were a group of athletes. We just weren't really put together. Like that team was loaded. I'll still say to this day, we have teams that went 13-1, went all the way to the city championship against Grant, against Granite Bay, against these big teams when they're big at the height of their career, like Shaq Thompson playing against those teams. I'll still say that team is the most talented out of all of them. We're the biggest, the strongest, the fastest. We just didn't have a cohesive unit put together to actually win football games.
Right.
But I ended up playing really well, and then that's kind of what skyrocketed all my recruiting. He's like, hey, you got a middle linebacker. I caught a touchdown as a tight end. I was like, cool, yeah, let's do this. Next year, the coaching staff previous come back. So my head coach, my sophomore year that my dad coached with, he is back my senior year with a somewhat of the same staff. And I just go, you're not moving me from defense. I'm playing middle linebacker. We're done with that. But I played a mixture. I was in the mix to play a tight end position, but we ended up just relegating it back, and I started playing guard again. So I did the guard, made the playoffs, lost in the first round to Pleasant Grove. And Pleasant Grove at that time had Eric Armstead was on the team as he was a sophomore. Jalen Saunders was on the football team. They had dudes that were on the team that played in the NFL. One still currently plays. Yeah. So good football team. They went all the way. They won the whole second title. So by that point, really getting back on that, I had my very first offer was obviously Sac State, which is a hometown school. 5 days later, UC Davis offered, which is you'd expect that anyway. But I had been in talks with Sac State for like a year at that point. And I remember one of my buddies, his dad, who was also my freshman coach, told them straight up, he's like, yeah, you're too late. Because literally 11 days after they offered, our whole team goes up for the Nevada camp. And the Nevada camp, I get offered at the Nevada camp. They pull me out of practice, walking me around the campus. Like my defensive coach is pissed because we're practicing for camp in the season, and Cody's not here because the coach is driving around on a golf cart. I was like, "What? You hate me? Because what the fuck, man?" Yeah. But I remember there's this funny story. He's actually hot in the news right now. As a guy, my dad, when he was on the staff, they went to the Nevada camp. And he came back and goes, yo, there's this guy that plays linebacker at Granite Bay. Big, reminds me of you. He's big, white, jacked to all hell, plays middle linebacker for Granite Bay. And every day, he's the best player on the field anytime he was. Every practice, he'd take his pads off and take his shirt off and carry it over and say hi to Coach Sachs, who was the D-line coach at the time, and Coach Alt. Shake his hand. He's like, yeah. He goes, oh, my name's Miles Burris. Nice to meet you. And it's obviously Miles Burris. So I did the same thing. So at that point, Miles Burris is at San Diego State. He picked San Diego State, is playing there currently. I go to this Nevada camp, remembering that with Dad goes, take your shirt off and say hi to the coaches. I don't know if they're going to offer me anyway or this swayed their decision, but I'd take it off every day. Go over and shake Coach Alt's hand. Hey, Coach, how you doing? I'll see you guys later. And I walk off. And by the end of the camp, they said I was the defensive MVP, linebacker MVP. I got all the awards for the end of the camp. I think they're just buttering me up. I don't know. I didn't think I had that great of a camp. I do remember my roommate in college at San Diego State was Garrett Corbett, and he was at that same camp. So we always giggle about that. But anyways, I do the whole recruiting thing. And at that point, it's Nevada, Sac State, UC Davis. I did a camp. San Diego State came out to see me. Talked to them. They told me to come to a camp. I go to the camp. I do really well at the camp. It's at Chabot College because they did satellite camps.
Yeah,
those
Chabot.
are not allowed anymore.
Right.
San Diego State would travel 5 different places. They go San Diego, LA, Fresno, the Bay Area, and then maybe a little bit more north. So kids from all over the state could get there. Right. So I went to their very first one. Coach Hoke wasn't even present. All it was Rocky Long was there, all the other coaches. I remember I did a bunch of linebacker stuff and then went over and did a bunch of D-line stuff. And I remember there was some kid, I remember this vividly. There's a kid, I think they were going to offer this O-lineman. He was doing really well. And I went over and in 3 reps, I just completely destroyed him. I did him power, I did speed, I did moves, until the point where who was the offensive analyst at the time, like a GA, he's now currently the strength coach. His name is Adam Hall. I remember he jogs away just because that's all I needed to see. That's all I needed to see. So did really well at the camp, and I'm expecting to get the offer. The tight ends coach is the recruiting guy, and I just never got the offer, never got the call, never got the email. So I'm like, okay, I guess San Diego State's not gonna happen. So I go to Nevada to their junior day at the end of July, and this is when they're right on the cusp of that big season where they win the WAC championship, beat Boise State. Like it's Colin Kaepernick, Luke Lippincott, Dante Moak, Vitawa. It's these just beasts of dudes. Virgil Green,
filthy
beasts of dudes. Like they're ranked nationally. The whole deal.
Yeah.
I go and they just treat me like I've always wanted to be treated. They buttered my biscuits so hard. I swear to God, there's 90 kids here, and I'm the only one there that has an offer. I think I was the only one of 2 kids at the time that had an offer from Nevada. They were kind of stingy with their offers. It's me and some kid from Eagle, Idaho. Played quarterback at Arizona State eventually, and then he's actually this quarterback coach at Mater Dei.
Yeah.
Remember his name? Taylor Kelly. No, remember it like it's yesterday. I'm the only one there with an offer. So we sit in this room, this auditorium with 100 kids. And the coach comes in 3 times, goes, come here. I want you to meet Coach Alt. Come say hi to Coach Alt. He wants to see you. He knows you're here. So all these parents go, who the fuck is this kid? My parents are sitting there like embarrassed. They go, people are staring at them because I got it. They go, who the fuck is this kid? Like, we didn't know who this guy is. Brad come back in, sit down, like just talk to Coach. Oh, hey, Coach Wilson wants to talk to you. He was the linebacker coach at the time. I'm like, oh, yeah. People are going, who the fuck? Last one, they go, where? Colin's here. Colin Kaepernick's here. Come talk to Collins. I go, I'm like, hey, Colin. Like, how's it going? Like, you don't fucking know me. How you doing? So I do that a bunch of times, and then they go out. They take everybody on a tour. Right. Not me. They take me with the fucking assistant, the football office assistant girl.
Yeah.
And go, yeah, we're taking you. And I remember there's 2 kids from Vacaville High School. One I'm actually friends with now. Named Brock Hecking. He ended up going to Nevada and being like their all-time superstar defense, the big mullet, played for the Chargers.
Yeah.
He just goes, I'm going with Cody. I had this little like posse. It was like me, Brock, and then their running back getting this personal tour because they were smart. They went, we're not going. They're gonna go. We're going with whoever the fuck this kid is.
Exactly.
Do the whole thing. And I remember I just sat there and I was like, man, that was awesome. Because you want the schools to want you, and I felt like I was wanted.
Right.
So I remember I sent an email 3 days later. I said, I want to run the pack. I'm committed. Commit to Nevada. And I played my whole senior season committed to Nevada. But I do remember some of the articles that came out, like Brandon Huffman and a couple other guys. Not specifically Huffman. He's still active with 247 now. It was the guy that was with Rivals. Do you remember? He said it was a soft verbal. Took the words out of my mouth. I didn't say these. He said it was a soft verbal. We'll see who he really signs with. Like he from the jump was just like, you're not going to Nevada. I know you're not. I was like, oh, I guess you're telling me because I feel like I'm going to Nevada.
Right.
So, but I remember specifically every single week, like when you're already committed, the coaches will check in on you. But San Diego State reached out to me and go, hey, we offered you. We just saw you committed to Nevada. We just want to know what's going on. Like, we're a little upset. We thought you liked us. I go, I swear to God, I never got an offer from you. I never got a call, no email. Turns out they sent the letter to my school.
Ooh.
Like the full offer letter signed by Brady, the whole deal. Nah, I didn't get it. They lost it.
That's a little shady.
They lost it. So I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, can you resend that letter?
Yeah.
And then, but think of it this way, like little. So in a way, the Rivals guy was right. It was like, I've never been to San Diego except one time, and I was like 5.
Yeah.
I want to take a trip. Like my uncle played at San Diego State in the 60s, or my dad's uncle, excuse me. I really want to, like, San Diego State was technically number 3. My favorite school was SC, and then UCLA because I was weird. And then San Diego State was 3rd because it was in Southern California. And I really wanted to go back down south to play Division I football. Those are the 3. That's the order. So I played the whole season. I remember we used to practice at like 6 p.m. on Wednesdays because we had a new stadium, which is actually the stadium I coach at now. They shared the stadium because Kasuma Soaks is down the street from Franklin.
Right. Yeah.
Throw away.
Yeah, Groveville.
I would go practice, get out of practice at 8:30, and there'd be a missed call at 8:15 every night from Coach Fresno, who is the tight end special teams coach at San Diego State. I'd call him back, talk to him for an hour every Wednesday night. And then they came to see me. They do the whole dinner thing. I remember one night I had to tell Coach Sachs to come later because Coach Fresno was coming at 6. I told Coach Sachs to come at 8:30. It was like having an affair.
Like,
yeah,
exactly.
Like cleaning the house, make sure there's no remnants of him. Do that, and then I remember I took my visit to Nevada. It was when they played. It was a very informal visit. I just said I want to come see you guys play Fresno State, and this is when Fresno State had Ryan Matthews and they had a really good rushing attack.
Oh yeah.
Went to there, had a fucking great time. Had a great time on the visit. Blast, absolute blast. I come back, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Nevada. I'm set. But like this trip to San Diego is really just to like prove that I'm going to Nevada.
Right.
San Diego State's trip was completely different. Theirs was after the season. They had a whole weekend set up. So it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday ordeal. We fly in Friday, they pick us up. Guys take me out. We go to dinner. Turns out that we had mentioned Miles Burris's name so many times that Fresno, we show up, he goes, yeah, you say you like Miles Burris? Here's your host, Miles Burris. So I hung out Miles the entire weekend. And my dad thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh, Miles is so cool. I love Miles. We do the dinner. They let us go. They let Miles take me to do whatever and all the other hosts and recruits. And they keep the parents in this like ballroom. And they just start getting fucked up with the parents. Like coaches' wives with my parents and everybody else's parents just drinking, talking. They want our parents over before they want us over.
Right.
So at that point, my parents were like, San Diego State, San Diego State, San Diego State. So the whole weekend was super cool. And I remember I came back, I was like, fuck, I actually had to go break up with Nevada and then make the call for San Diego State. Like at this point, it's December. The season's over for me. I'm not playing anymore. I remember calling. It was a really hard phone call. I'm sitting there looking. I'm like trying to talk to my dad. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the phone rings and it's Coach Sachs from Nevada. Yeah. I talked him 15 minutes, just not saying anything. And then I hang up the phone. He's like, I'm going to come see you on Tuesday. He's like, okay, Coach. And I goes, you got to call him back or you're going to Nevada. You don't get to pick here.
Right.
And I was like, no, I'll tell him on Tuesday. Because you can't do that. You got to call him now.
Right.
You got to call him right now or you're going to go to Nevada. I'm not going to let you do it. You're going to go to Nevada. I was like, okay. So I called him. He wasn't very happy about it. I'll leave those words for another time, but he's not happy about it. And I was kind of like, damn, Coach, I'm hate you now. Then I call Coach Fresno and I don't know, he picks up, I call him, I tell him, and he's elated. He is so excited. I think he was more excited than Nevada, their response was. So now I'm like happy again. And I hang up the phone for not even like 90 seconds and Brady Hope calls. And now the head coach is talking to me going, like, I'm a better coach. Like, yeah, they're saying the right thing.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yes.
So I'm have to go tell everybody, like, hey, I'm decommitted from Nevada. I'm now committed to San Diego State. And everyone's just like, man, except everybody at Nevada. Like all my buddies that I met, they were like, hey, we're committed to Nevada. They just went like, dude, we thought, like, I remember I showed up when the recruit showed up and you weren't there. I was, what the fuck happened to Cody? And they go, oh, he's in San Diego. He's in San Diego. They go, they were like mad, but they're not that mad.
Right.
But I do the funny story. So my roommate is from Nevada. My freshman year is in Garrett Corbett. He had an equal but opposite. So he was the right tackle. This guy named Kyle Roberts was the left tackle, or vice versa.
Right.
Same size, same weight. They had the same offers. Both from Sparks, Nevada, which is 10 miles away from the University of Nevada, Reno.
Right.
They had one spot left, and it was basically who was going to call first. And I swear to God, Garrett called, and Kyle called 10 minutes later, and they said, Garrett already committed. We don't have a spot for you. So Kyle ends up going to Nevada.
Yeah.
So Kyle and Garrett now, like literally, that's how close it was. So they're kind of like, boo, you whore. Like, why'd you take my spot? I wanted to go there. But they go, oh, we get it. Like, I was going to go there. You know? Yeah. And then what's funny is Garrett's little brother actually walked on to Nevada. He was an all-state D-end tackle, never got any offers, literally got a preferred walk-on to the school down the street, goes in, gets giant, is starting by his last 3 seasons, and was the second-round pick for the Browns back in 2018 and now starts for the Rams.
Wow.
So number 63 for the Rams, Austin Corbett, is my old roommate's little brother.
Wow.
So, yeah. I played against him my senior year. He's a solid kid, solid guy. A little jealous that he's playing for my team, but I'm glad we have him.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, so I ended up going to I remember that happened so quick. I had to call. I played in some all-star game, and I had to tell them because they had Nevada on the books. I was like, oh, yeah, it changed. So you could tell, like, they had their re-photocopy everything because they didn't reprint it. They just scratched it out and wrote San Diego State. Like, it was 2 clicks before.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So then I sign all the good stuff, and I go to college, and then college is just what you expect. You get in there, and I expected to try to play linebacker. The conversation was San Diego State runs a 3-3-5 defense. Very, very different. It's kind of like a 3-4 in the sense that fourth linebacker, like a Kevin Green-esque, he's hot topic now since he passed, Rip. One of my favorite players, actually.
Yeah, man. That's sad.
Guys, you don't really have a spot for guys like that. It's a very funky defense. It's more the defense that Rocky Long built at New Mexico, and Brian Urlacher got really good playing in that defense, playing their Lobo position, which is like a safety linebacker hybrid.
Right.
So essentially what they do in that defense is they take a lot of bigger linebackers, make them defensive linemen, and take bigger safeties, make them linebackers. Then they pick one hybrid type guy to play, but then the corners and the safeties are the same. They're normal corner free strong safeties. Yeah. I go in, I'm like, and they keep asking, like, where do you want to play? I was like, I want to play a linebacker.
Right.
I like, because that linebacker position is so fucking cool. Like, you rotate the front, so depending on if you play the right or the left, everything's based off the strength. So where the tight end is, wherever the passing strength is. If you can have fronts where you're at depth. You could call a defensive front where you're walked up on the line, standing up on the edge, like a Von Miller type player.
Yeah.
Or there's plays where you're blitzing from it. You're dropping into coverage. You're dropping into coverage from the line. You're covering backs and tight ends out of the backfield.
Yep.
Like, there's tons of things you can do. Like, it's a very, very active defense. It's very fun. You play D-line, you slant, you pinch, you do stunts, techs, ears, games, the whole exits, the whole shebang. You do tons of shit. And then you can blitz the safeties, the corner. It's a lot of fun now as a coordinator that I run that same one. I run the basic one. Like, when I walked into school, I run that something. I have a fucking blast on the sideline doing the shit. We're gonna send the safety. We're gonna send him. Like, it's a fucking blast.
Right.
Difficult to learn it at first. So I remember I'm sitting there, like, trying to stay on my diet. I'm like 225 pounds as a freshman, trying to stay fast, trying to catch up and be in shape. And I'm running and you have to run different times. So linebackers have to lift heavy like the D-line, O-line, but then they have to run fast like the DBs. So you're getting fucked over this entire summer ball. Running fast, lifting weight, trying to make weight, all this bullshit. At the very end, they go, yeah, because you're going to be a D-line. It's like, so you're telling me I ran all those fast times for absolutely nothing? I could have been running slow times? This is a crock of shit. So, the worst part is Brady Hoke was big on the O-line, D-line wearing knee braces in practice. I remember that I didn't have knee braces because I was a linebacker.
Right.
But now camp started, and they go, we got to fit this guy for knee braces. I go, you gotta be kidding me, man. So first 2 days of camp going fine. I'm flying around, it's fine, yeah. And then I put like not just like sleeves, like donjoys, like what you wear when you have reconstructive surgery.
Right.
They put those on, and now I'm cutting myself. They're tearing at my skin. They're clipping each other. I'm falling.
Ugh.
And the worst was they had this pursuit drill where you'd hit the ground and you run to the middle of the field, run the defensive call, and then run all the way to a trash can on the other side of the field. It's a basic pursuit drill. First 2 days, I'm flying. I'm like, yeah, good job, Galea. That's cool. Third day, I have them on. The fucking coach goes, get the fuck back, Galea. What the fuck was that? It was so slow. Look at the fucking knee braces, man. Like my spirit was crushed. Spirit was absolutely crushed. I had to wear these goddamn knee braces, and then the whole year is just like figuring out because we're redshirting now. I'm redshirting. I wanted to play that year, and then once they say, yeah, you gotta learn a whole nother part of the defense, and then you gotta gain weight. I'm like, shirt my ass. I'm not fucking playing. Like, I'm making a business decision here. Shirt my ass. I don't want to play. Do the whole year and just playing. I mean, scout team was a ton of fun that year. Anytime we had like BYU had some big outside linebackers that year. TCU had that big core because they're all in our league at the time. Utah had a big linebacking core, and then so did TCU. I remember they had me play as Tank Carter essentially that whole week. I'm like, this is my shot. This is where I'm gonna show them that I'm a linebacker. This is great. Playing middle linebacker, playing on the edge, rushing and stuff. And we were just going against this really tough offense we had. And I'm doing the best I can to piss them off every week. Like we had Ronnie Hillman at the time. Like can't touch Ronnie. Yeah. It's just me as a freshman just trying to fuck up these O linemen all day long. And we actually had a really successful big team. Went 9-4, won our first bowl game in a long time. Lost to Utah 38-34 at home. Lost to TCU 40-35 when they were ranked number 2 in the country.
With Andy Dalton.
Like they were coming out and balling.
Yeah, Red Rifle. Yep.
They played at Missouri and lost to Missouri, and I want to say it was a bullshit. It was like an uncalled penalty. I mean, they won at the very last second. This guy named TJ Moe had to go. They threw him in the ball, and he ran a big bunch. But there was definitely a block in the back on that play that they didn't call. But we ended up losing by, I think, a touchdown. Right. Whole game was tight. So it was a Big 12 team we took all the way to the wire. The number 2 team in the country took to the wire, and then Utah we took to the wire. Like massive games we were playing. I remember with the Missouri week, I played as Alden Smith. I got to wear an 85 jersey the whole time. That's probably why we lost. He's much better than I. Yeah, freshman year was cool, and then I did the redshirt freshman year, which I actually got into the play, got into the lineup, and I played in every game except for a few. And this was an iffy season. I remember at one point they had me in the starting lineup.
Right.
I remember because we had a guy leave. Another senior was still hurt, so my roommate, who's now currently the D-line coach, Jordan Thomas, he was starting in front of me, and I was right behind him. He played the year before as a freshman, but barely. So now he's a true sophomore. I'm a redshirt freshman. He's starting, and I remember I had a better camp performance than him. Like the camp scrimmage at the very end, I played really well, and I walked in, and they go, "Yeah, Cody's starting." I'm sitting there shitting my pants because we play Cal Poly, which is a D1 AA team, but they run the triple option, like the true triple option, where you got to crash down to the fullback every time as an end.
Right.
And my technique on that wasn't great. I was still working on it. JT got to work on it the year before because we had played Navy and Air Force, so he'd had like 3 games of playing this. I'm like, I know I'm gonna fucking fuck up, and they're gonna crack off like a 90-yard fullback dive off my ass. So by the time it happened, I ended up back in the reserve role, but we were rotating 4-4. We rotated a bunch. So 5th play of the game, I'm in. First game ever. I remember I got my first TFL, my first tackle in that game. And then we played, who did we play? Someone that was okay. And then we played Washington State, beat Washington State. So at this point, Brady Hoke had left San Diego State and had taken the Michigan job after Rich Rodriguez got fired.
Right.
So we only had 1 year with him, and now we have a whole new staff. Well, technically, like half the staff is the same. Like Rocky's now the head coach. He was the DC the year before. Strength coach is somebody we knew already. Offensive guys, half of them are still there. Defensive guys, half of them are still there. So we walk into Michigan week, 3-0 undefeated. Michigan's 3-0 undefeated. You go to the big house. You go play. We got our fucking shit kicked in. Didn't look like that on the scoreboard. It was 28-7, but we got our shit kicked in. I remember by that point, I'm now playing on the other side of the line. I'm backing up the senior D end. And their rotation, they're like, yeah, you're going to be on a 5-4 rotation. So I'm in the sixth play of the game against Michigan. And this is with Taylor Lewan and Omame and a guy whose last name is Huge and Denard Robinson and all these motherfuckers. Denard Robinson scored twice in my first 3 plays. Both my fault.
Oh man.
Literally, first play I go in, I'm going to call a little bit on play call because we ran our even front. So here's me, 250-pound, 248-pound Cody, in my 4th game ever, playing a head up on the guard in a 2 technique, and they want me to play 2 gap. So they want me to just go hands on him and fight. Like, I don't know who the fuck you think I am. I'm not. This isn't going to work.
Right.
So I come straight out. They run a stretch. I get hooked. Rob Andrews is behind me. Rob gets blocked by the guy I should be kind of in the way. And the next thing you know, shoestringless Denard's running 50 yards down the field for a touchdown. I just go, I don't know what you want me to do on that. I slant me, do something, move me. Let's do this or do this. Don't make me go one-on-one with the guy that's 70 pounds heavier than I am.
Right.
Like, I'm strong, but I'm not that strong. Like, I'm still a fucking baby. I'm 19.
Yeah.
We get back in after that. I play big turnover. So now they have the ball inside the 10. They run one play, and then they double team my ass to all hell, and I made it in the end zone before Denard did. So at that point, I played like shit. I tried to like get my swagger back and taking gloves off. I'm like, what the fuck are we gonna do here? I don't know what's going on. Like, confidence is gone.
Right.
Finish the game, and then we're in a bye week, and then I find myself relegated to 3rd string. So I didn't play for the next 4 games my freshman year. I got in because the guy that I backed up that game got hurt against Colorado State. I get inserted back in, and I make a couple plays on some stunts. So now I'm kind of like wiggled myself back into the lineup via injury, but also I'm playing well enough to where they're not going to relegate me back out. They're going to find a way to keep me on the field.
Right.
Play out the rest of the season, and like pretty solidly until the bowl game. Bowl game is in New Orleans Bowl against Louisiana, and I think I got 3 plays that game because we just let our seniors go, which I'd appreciate when I was a senior. When it happened to me, I'm like, you just let the fucking senior. This is their last game here. Go. You play. We're winning and dying on field. I got a couple plays in off because the way we did the counts for plays. I remember one guy got 1 play because they're on like a 7-3 rotation, but it restarted every time the ball reset. Right. So it wasn't 7 plays on defense, then you go in for 2. It'd be 7 plays. So they'd have to get like 4 first downs for you to get in the game.
Wow.
So like 7 plays and play 8 of that drive, you get in for 2, and then it's going to reset the count once they get the ball back. Okay. So he only got in once. Felt bad, but he was a true freshman at the time, and this guy ended up playing for the Cowboys for a bit, just kind of off-season rosters. So play them, don't. And then going into the next year, I'm the 2nd string guy in the first few games against like North Dakota, against Washington, and then I want to say someone else. And then something happens with the guy in front of me, and now I find myself in a starting position, starting role, my 4th game of my sophomore year, and then I was the starter for the rest of my time there. So it ended up being against Fresno State, played Fresno, and I start, play pretty well, producing not anything outrageous, but playing well. Produce, and then nobody's taking the job from me. I'm 2 seasons at that point. So play the junior year. Junior year is good. And then finally we get to go play Ohio State. We get to go play at Oregon State. We played at Washington. We played, Oregon State came to us, Oregon State came to us. We actually played the year before. We played San Jose. They came and beat us before they came into the Mountain West.
Wow.
They were 11-2 that year.
Wow.
It was David Fales.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had David Question. I remember it was David Questenberry was their tackle, and I wasn't starting by that point. I started the next game.
Right.
But I'm sitting there looking at this dude warming up, going, "Who the fuck is that?" And I go, "Yeah, it's the left tackle." Dude, this is the most insane tackle I've ever seen. He's the most imposing guy I've ever seen playing. And to this day, is David Questenberry when he was at San Jose State senior year. He was absolutely massive, no fat on his body, damn near. Like, he didn't have a gut. All he had was just power in his legs. He had like a damn near 6-pack.
Yeah.
Big ass arms, and I couldn't do a fucking thing against him. I tried everything. I couldn't. That's the one time I was like, I got completely bested. I've never been so just relegated to nothingness in a game that I was against David Questenberry. And I played against Ohio State the next year, and I did whatever I wanted to fucking Jack Newhart. Ended up being his teammate like 2 years later. Yeah. I never mentioned it. I was like, but I did that whole thing. So get through that season. Junior year is good. We play Ohio State, and I remember specifically Ohio State. We played them week 2, right. And we were actually coming off a loss. So our gimme game, we lost to Eastern Illinois. We got fucking smoked by Jimmy Garoppolo. Absolutely torched by Jimmy.
Happens.
But I remember they had Dino Babers as their head coach, who at one point coached at San Diego State and was close with our guys, he's the head coach at Syracuse, and actually has one of our guys coaching for him. But right. They had a solid squad. We came out, but I remember that was the weirdest camp we've ever had. I walked out of camp so not ready to go. We were so tired. Rocky was not happy with how camp was going because he felt that we were underestimating Eastern Illinois because they're Division I AA and just that's not how things work. We're paying them to come here. We're going to beat them. We're San Diego State. Mind you, we're coming off 2012. We're coming off a championship year.
Right.
We lost to Fresno State, but then we beat Boise State at Boise State when they were ranked number 19 in the country. We beat them 21-19. So now we got a big fat ring on our finger. Big old ring on our finger. We're like, Battle West champions with Boise State, with fucking Fresno State, the David Carr, the whole fucking Jay Ajayi, the whole thing. Like we're fucking big dogs now. Like we're gonna get uniforms next year, this whole deal. So we walked in feeling like our shit don't stink, and Rocky could sense it. He's pissed. We do our fucking scrimmage, and we don't really. I thought I did okay, but as a team, we did not do well. Like the offense didn't run the ball like they're supposed to, and then we got torched over the top end. We always had issues in our defensive secondary.
Right.
We had a lot of hitting, like Cam Chancellor type guys. Like Eric Pinkins was a hitter. Nat Berhe was a hitter, but they're also our safeties. So if we didn't get to the quarterback and help them out, no offense to them because they're both ballers, both played in the NFL for a bit. Fuck, we would get torched.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even Leon would get fucked up. No, Leon was gone, but no. Leon McFadden played in the NFL. No, he was gone that year. We just lost Leon McFadden, who's our All Mountain West guy.
Yeah.
So now we're like, we're fucked, dude. If we can't get to the quarterback, then we just let them do what they want. Like we're gonna get torched over the top.
Right.
And we did. We got completely torched by Eastern Illinois. They did whatever they wanted to us. We had no mojo. There's a picture of me still to this day, if you check, where I'm just sitting on the bench like this, zoomed in right on my face because I'm looking decrepit, pissed. I'm just like almost like in disbelief. Like we just got smoked because now we know we're gonna go into the fucking league winless.
Yeah.
Because I'm as competitive as anybody, and I want to go kick ass as much as anybody. I know damn well we're not going into Ohio State and beating Ohio State, especially after losing to Eastern Illinois.
Right.
So we go to Ohio State, and this is the week after the Khalil Mack played against them.
Yeah.
And had that monster game that pretty much put him on the board as, hey, you're a number 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
And that's the only film we're watching. We're watching Buffalo. It was like they stuck it to him. He intercepted Braxton Miller and took it back, and fucking he couldn't catch him. So I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't think that's gonna happen for us. Like, I'm not cool, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a decent game, but also a bad game. I made some plays, and then also got fucked. Like me and Jake Feely, our middle linebacker, teamed up and took out Braxton Miller in the first quarter.
Yeah.
There's a play where he goes, and I hit him. I wrapped him. I like gator rolled his legs as he rushed, as he like tried to run the football, and then as he's going down, Jake hits him and knocks his helmet off, and that's when he tore his meniscus.
Oh.
That's when Kenny Guyton came in. This was before Cardale, before JT, before all them. A guy named Kenny Guyton came in. He's a senior. So we're like, yeah. I remember there's a clip of me talking about Braxton Miller, like how good he was. I go, hey, quarterbacks are quarterbacks. They all bleed the same. I just got hit him a couple times. I'm looking kind of snarky on the press conference. And I went and took him out. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Hurt Braxton Miller is dope. So the picture that they posted all over ESPN is his helmet on the ground and my cleat. It's not really a picture where you can see us. It's like my cleat. I'm like, cool. Fuck yeah. Made a couple plays in the backfield. I made my one Aaron Donald play in my life where you're pinching from the inside on a tackle and the guard pulls to run power to the other side.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10, you got to cross face on the center to get across. You're never going to catch the guy back pocket. Guarantee you. That's the one play where I actually did.
Nice.
I tried to run back side, the other side, and I actually like snuck in and got in the backfield and made the play without doing what I was supposed to. It's like, that's never going to happen again. That was cool. That's all my highlight tape. So decent game, but then also there was one where they just did a zone read, all like it crashed so hard, and I just kind of stood there, like, not realizing that now there's like this 8-yard hole on the inside of me, and it's me and Kenny Guyton, and he just ran away from me. I gave him so much room, I didn't squeeze at all. He just gave him so much room where it didn't shake me at all. It just I couldn't catch him.
Yeah.
And there's a picture of me, which is even worse, where he's running for a touchdown. And I'm on the grass, like pushing myself up, going, "Oh no!" Like there's 7 points that are literally my fault.
Right.
So good game, bad game, but that's also the first taste I had of Joey Bosa. Saw him for the first time, and just sat there going, "That's a freshman. He's different than me."
Yeah.
So he balled out there, and then we ended up 0-3 because we lost to Oregon State the next week. Ended up 0-3, and then finishing 7-5 and making it to a bowl game.
Right.
And then we played Buffalo in the Idaho Potato Bowl, like against Khalil Mack, and we smoked them. It was like 49-24 or some shit.
Yeah.
Ended up the season 8-5. Cool. So in the off season between my junior and senior year, I get a call from my D-line coach saying, "Hey, they're moving you to linebacker." I go, "Thank the fucking heavens. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally get to play linebacker."
Right.
So I get to play a linebacker that's kind of how we roll, where you roll down, kind of how we've been doing it. But they realize there's a couple linebackers that are in the linebacker room that really suck on the line, but they're really good at depth and pass drops. And me, I'm good against the run at depth, but my pass drops are still kind of figuring it out because I've spent 4 years with my hand down. So we switched the entire defense to where anytime it was a single linebacker blitz, it's me. And anytime it was a front with the fourth guy down, it's me. So I pretty much played the middle linebacker spot, played in the middle of the lineup. But anytime we were in a 4-man front or anytime we were in a 5-man front I would go to the strong side. So I'm walking down the line, I'm blitzing from the edge, I'm covering tight ends off the line, I'm covering the flat. I was doing a whole lot of shit, a lot of fun. But only downside was I was essentially the trigger man for every offensive scheme call. All my buddies that played at Nevada, Fresno, Boise, they go, "Yeah, dude, I was you for practice," or a cap on my head. They go, "That's 47." So every team we played, protection's getting sent to me.
Yeah.
Extra blockers getting sent to me.
Yeah.
I was like, "Guys, I'm not even that good, man. Like, let me have."
Yeah.
I remember we played Nevada, and I had 2 assisted tackles all game. I didn't really have a ton of tackles. We ended up losing at the very end, but I had 2 unassisted tackles because they would set the front to me every time because they knew that's where I'd have to go.
Right.
And all I knew was, hey, if the tight end and the wingback, if the tight end's outside the wingback, like he's in the backfield, they're going to run power. If the tight end's outside, or the wingback's outside, they're going to run a stretch. So now I'm playing it off that, and I'm just setting up alleys for my guys. I remember we ended up losing because Don Jackson was the running back. I played against him in high school. Good buddy of mine. He pops one up the middle because our linebacker decided to go backdoor, try to go backside A gap when the hole was wide open on the front side B, C gap.
Oh, man.
Because I just let it open. I'm like, "Here it is. Come get it." And our safeties weren't coming downhill. Our linebackers were taking the wrong holes. Throwing them under the bus a little bit, but when you watch it on film, I'm sitting there going, "What the fuck?" Like, I'm helpless. I'm doing everything I can. Like, here's your fucking alley. Run the alley. Go make the play. They're just not hitting it. And they just ran right over us. We ended up winning like 30-16. Ended up losing. And I was sitting there going, "You gotta be fucking kidding me, man." Did that. And then Boise State, same thing. Like, my buddy called me and was like, "Yeah, man, I played you all week in practice. So they're going to shift everything to you." So, like, all the O-liners are talking to me. They're like, 47. I was like, "It's not me, guys. I swear I'm not."
Cody. You there? Cody. I think you froze. Cody. Cody, you there? There you go. I can see you now.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Cool.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I never got any kind of accolade. The last accolade I got was in high school. Like I was 2-time first team all conference in high school, college. Not one, zero, not even honorable mention, nothing, zero things.
Right.
I was so under the radar. Nobody even fucking knew who I was. But I was pretty solid at my position, which was cool.
Right.
So I remember, I do remember I read articles. I'd read articles about San Diego State, like in the years later, like up to 3 years later, they would mention me. Who's replacing Cody? I'm like, I haven't played there for 2 years. I thought that was super dope. Entire coaching staff was much nicer after I left because they realized like I definitely left a hole because there would be 3 or 4 guys rotating in that position at little two. There was no set dude that could play the spot like I played it, which I thought was pretty cool. So I think that came across some tape when the teams when it came around to like who's going to get signed to the NFL and all that good stuff. But obviously, no bowl game invite. The only bowl game I played in was our bowl game, and we ended up losing because we missed a kick at the very end. We lost by 1 point, and I played my ass off that game. It was against Navy in the Poinsettia Bowl, and I remember we win. I'm getting Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Game. Like it's gonna be my one accolade I'm gonna have. Defensive Player of the Game against Navy, because I had a fumble recovery, 2 sacks, 3 TF, something like really good stat line.
Yeah.
Something you see from guys that are much better than I. So I had a killer game. Playing in a 3-4 defense, we switched our stuff up against them in Air Force. So I'm like, cool. We lose. I get nothing. I get no invite. Obviously, I'm not going to the Senior Bowl. Obviously, I'm not going to the Shrine Game. Thinking maybe the NFLPA Bowl. Nope, don't go there. Like no bowl games, zero. I don't even think I got nominated. So I start training, and I remember I got a deal on training. So I get an agent, and the agent was mainly because my dad reached out to him. He's a former Aztec track and field athlete back when they had a men's team. And right around the Nevada week, my dad emailed him and goes, I know who Cody is. I've known him for a long time. This is the things he needs to do. So I remember I did everything he asked. And then when it came down to it, it was him. He was the only agent I was in contact with. The other agent was my roommate's brother, who represented my buddy Jordan, my other roommate, the year before. So my roommate's brother's name is Brian Hanula. He is he's one of the agents for Alliance Sports. And Rocky Arsenault, who's the guy that started that based out of St. Louis, his very first client was Marshall Falk. So they had Marshall Falk, they had Eric Dickerson, they have Cedric the Entertainer and like in other aspects, but they have, at this point, they're a big time firm. Right. They have Ezekiel Elliott. He's the one that actually did Zeke's big time contract. Like Brian, my friend Brian, negotiated that big, highest paid running back of all time contract that Zeke had like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Rashad Penny, Elijah Penny, his brother with the Giants, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, they're all signed with them. So they decided that year they're not doing it. I was like, really, Brian? Look at me in the face right now. I was like, we're not doing anything. So you can't just do one. Does me go? So I go, wow, my only shot, like, is the only other opportunity I had for an agent was Brian. But Brian, they're like, we didn't take the 2015 year, they had 0 people in the draft. They didn't sign anybody. I was like, fuck, dude. Okay. So I signed with Jim. Jim, great guy. He's actually one of the district court council. He's in politics down in San Diego County.
Yeah.
So he has connections up the Wahoo, whatever. He gets me in line with Todd Durkin. So I'm training so down there's a couple players. Obviously there's Exos, there's Prolific, and Prolific is where like Jameis Winston and all them go. Exos is the big superstar, like Odell Beckham will go there. Like if you want to go names, those are the places that are like $10,000 to do your training, $19,000 to do your training because they give you everything. I was like, I don't need that. I live in San Diego. All I need is the workout and like a protein shake. So he worked a deal with Fitness Quest 10. So I'm paying out of pocket $500 a week for this training. And it's a couple other guys in the same boat. Guy from Cal Poly, guy from Washington, guy from Northern Arizona, just like a group of 4 of us just going at it every day. But Todd Durkin is the guy that trains Drew Brees. He's LaDainian Tomlinson was like his first guy. Darren Sproles, Mark Sanchez. So there's this epicenter at San Diego. So when Drew left to New Orleans guys would start coming. And then when Darren went to Philadelphia guys would start coming. So it'd be San Diego, New Orleans, and Philadelphia, kind of the hub. of who was coming in.
Right.
And then some other guys. So like Gerald McCoy would be there. He was with Tampa. Chase Daniel was there. Austin Davis, when he was the Rams quarterback, was there. So I remember I was training with Mark Sanchez, Austin Davis, and Chase Daniel running routes and shit. Just running tight end routes for him, which actually was really good because during that summer I'd been doing all the mini camp stuff in Indianapolis, and I wasn't catching balls from Andrew Luck. I was catching balls from the linebacker assistant. I'm like, these balls are not the same.
Yeah.
I'm ever in coverage and Andrew Luck throws one. I'm not catching it if I'm catching these like little flukes every day.
Right.
So that was actually a lot of good practice. But during all that, I remember I get to my pro day and my times are good. They're not anything out of the ordinary. It's just, hey, the 240-pound kid can move. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest, but he can move. He's viable. My money, my bread and butter was going to be in the actual drills, the bag drills, the drop drills, any kind of reaction drills. I just needed a coach with the ball, put me through the stuff. I was wanting that.
Right.
I go through, I run a 4.72. I do a 35.5-inch vertical. I do 30 reps on the bench press. And now I'm like, cool, we're rolling. I'm having a good day. Let's go into these bag drills. I'm sitting there warming up for like 45 minutes and like an hour. And then they just go, we're done. They did offense for like an hour and they just go, we're done. Thanks for coming out, guys. Cool. So I'm sitting there going, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that was the only way I was going to get on the radar. So I'm kind of like at this point depressed. Shit, this might be my shot. Like, no bowl game, no workouts, no invites to anywhere. Now I don't get to work out at my pro day. I just do times. And part of it was because Hawaii would come and do theirs at ours, but they would do theirs at an earlier time. They integrated all of this. So we only even got to run, we ran 240s, but we only got one attempt at the 3-cone, one attempt at the short shuttle. They were just one attempt at the 60-yard shuttle. They just rotated you through because now there's, as opposed to like 9 guys, which was us, there's like 40 because Hawaii brought a bunch of dudes. Bunch of dudes, like half those guys had no chance of even getting a look by anybody.
Right.
A couple of them didn't have agents. And it kind of screwed us over. And I had to run my 40s first just because of how it played out.
Yeah.
Because the only guy ahead of me was our punter. They didn't even get the punt. They made him punt on the other field. They didn't even get the punt on the main field.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is not how this was supposed to happen. Okay, what are we going to do now? I come home and my good friend Brandon Thompson and Thomas Downs that run DB Select. Brandon Thompson was the Boise State Fiesta Bowl MVP, played for the Redskins, and then played in Canada for a while. He's a solid guy. His dad coached me as a freshman. So I just go, I need tape. Just let's do some bullshit ass little workout tape. So we come up, and at the park across the street from my house in Oak Grove, we do it's Bartholomew Sports Park. A lot of people work out there.
Yeah.
We do the whole, just like a minute long video, bag drills, drops, ladders, just anything that shows hips and explosiveness and any kind of ball skills. Right. I do that, send it to my agent, and my agent has this highlight tape, and then he has my workout tape. Start sending it out. I'm like, cool. Now we're waiting. And then you have your local days, your local pro days, which is where if you grew up, born, played high school, or played college in the vicinity within 100 miles of any professional place, you can go do a local day, a local workout where some will make you do the 40 and all that. Some will just put you through drills.
Right.
So I go to the San Diego Chargers one, obviously, because the campus, we play in the same fucking stadium.
Yeah.
We go there and I have a really good day. Like, it's me, my teammate, the linebacker from Fresno, because he was born in San Diego, and maybe like one other guy, and I outshined all of them. I went, like, modesty to the side, like I did way better than all of them in all the drills. And the coach is actually the linebacker coach is Mike Nolan, former Niners coach.
Oh, fuck him.
He called.
Yeah, go ahead.
he called my agent immediately after and goes, I like that guy.
Nice.
I was like, fuck, if I played for the Chargers, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
But did really well there. And then I do know, so John Pagano is the defensive coordinator there. And at
Chuck
that
Pagano's
point,
brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I have like this man bun thing going on and this giant beard that's been rocking since like the beginning of the year. And I've been getting
like
haggard. I've been getting so many like, hey, you look like Eric Weddles all over social media.
100%. Yeah.
So I do the camp. I get a call. They end up not going me. All they offered me was a invite to minicamp because in the end they actually took his other linebacker. So my agent had another linebacker. We're like split image of the same person. times were the same, pretty much. But he played at Cal Poly and he just lit it up in D1AA, lit up the Big Sky. They brought him in, and I remember I was in his house when they called and said, "Hey, we're offering him with a $5,000 signing bonus to the Chargers." I was like, "Yeah." Like I'm still waiting for my phone call. Like, damn it, I would have liked the Chargers.
Yeah.
So I remember I got a call from the Dolphins coach twice. He calls my teammate as well because they had a guy named Russell Allen that they got undrafted out of San Diego State a few years back. I was a big fan of Russell Allen. So he's like, I like my San Diego State guys. But then he was the Jaguars coach previously, and he drafted my cousin out of USC. I have a cousin by marriage named Thomas Williams, who got drafted in 2008 in the 5th round to the Jaguars by this coach. So he's like, oh yeah, I know Thomas, this whole deal. I was like, yeah, it's my cousin by marriage, but not by blood or anything, but it's like small world type deal. He calls, and then Baltimore calls, and then I think that was it. And I don't watch the draft the first 2 days. I'm paranoid as hell. I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, obviously I'm not gonna be on Thursday. Obviously I'm not gonna be on Friday. Then we go to my agent's house on Saturday. So we go into Saturday thinking, hey, Dolphins number 1, that's your best shot. Chargers number 2, Ravens number 3.
Right.
Those are the top 3. Mind you, the night before at about 8 p.m., 7 p.m., my agent texts me and goes, hey, the coach from, like, would you want to play inside middle linebacker? I was like, I'll play where the fuck they want me to.
Yeah.
Like, because that's where the Colts like you. I was like, oh, wow. And reason why the Colts like me is the coach there, the linebacker coach, Jeff Fitzgerald, he was a former San Diego State coach. So he's like, I've been watching you for the last like 3 years. I've known who you are. I really like you. So I want to draft you. I was like, wait, you have pick 255, right? Which is the one before Mr. Rose. Like, yeah, he's like, I want you there. So I'm trying. I'm going, are you fucking kidding me? So literally, this is like 12 hours before. I'm sitting there going, oh my God, am I going to get drafted by the Colts? Fuck yeah, this is going to be great. So Miami goes dark. I don't hear from Miami again. Baltimore goes, yeah, we already got our guy. Chargers go, we already drafted our guy. They drafted Kyle Emanuel out of North Dakota State, and then they had Zubner higher on their board than me. So they said, we're going to give you an invite. Indianapolis is just sitting there. We're like, okay, we're in contact with them the entire time. It's the coach. It's not the personnel guy. It's not the guys that are in front office. It's the linebacker coach.
Yeah.
And he ends up going, they end up picking a linebacker out of Georgia. He fell. He was supposed to go to like Houston in the 3rd round or like Miami in the 4th. He dropped all the way to the 6th round. So they picked him. We go, well, fuck, what's that mean? He goes, means absolutely nothing. I'm trying. So they end up picking 255 ends up being Denzel Good, who's now with the Raiders, starting for them, I think.
Yeah.
But they end up calling like 10 minutes. So I remember I'm watching three of my buddies post that they just got signed. And I'm like waiting for the phone call. And finally, the call happens. My agent hands me the phone. He's like, you want to be an Indianapolis call? I'm like, oh, yes, absolutely. Like,
finally,
relieved out of my fucking mind. I call my parents. It was great.
You made it.
It was so much fun. And then I ended up leaving like 5 days later. Like it was May 2nd. I'm out there May 7th.
Yeah.
And get there on a Thursday night. And they hand you this iPad with 4 plays in one package, 4 plays in the other, but there's 32 pages long each because each play changes off the formation.
Right.
I go, oh, great. This is a lot of shit. But funny thing is, the first words I hear when I get off the goddamn taxi and walk in the building, equipment guy goes, oh, when did we sign Whittle? First words I heard. I go, fuck you, dude. So sign the stuff. We go to the team meeting, and they make everybody stand up, say their name, like where you're from, what you play, what school, and then where were you born, type shit. I said, I'm Cody. I play at San Diego State from Sacramento, and I play linebacker. I go to sit down, and Chuck goes, no, get back up. He's like, I know Whittle had a little brother. And the whole thing goes, oh my God, he does look like Eric Whittle. And like it became my identity. So I was like, cool. And like I'm popping up on social media everywhere, just not like big accounts, but people go like, oh, he looks kind of like that guy, but he plays anything like him. We'll like him a lot.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of attention because of it. I mean, not unwarranted. I was there for a reason, but also the fucking beard just stuck out. It was red as hell too, like red hair. And it became a point where they're like, if you fucking shave that, we're gonna cut you.
Yeah.
Like, please don't.
Yeah.
It's really itchy. I hate it. But yeah, there's the little funny kind of tidbit when I was there. They fucking call Whittle all the time and fucking send him pictures and all this bullshit. It was just like a funny little gig thing. And what's funny is Eric Whittle's from the same hometown.
He is.
Never met him or anything like that. I only interacted with him one time, and that's because he posted a picture of him in a Los Angeles Rams uniform when he signed, and I
Yeah.
had one that looked just like it. It was like, ugh. I posted this stupid fucking picture of, hey, here's us looking like each other, and then also here's us wearing the same uniform.
Nice.
He's like, oh, duh. Yeah. So, and then playing there was cool. I remember I played damn near all four positions. So they ran that 3-4 defense. So I played the strong side, the rush, the inside, and the dime linebacker. So
Right.
I'm having to learn four positions. And they have a rookie undrafted guy at each spot already. So they had a dude from Harvard, they had a dude from Georgia playing middle, and they had the dude from Toledo playing the dime. And then you have me who plays all of them. So I'm like, cool. And they brought me in pretty much to be a guy they had the year before, special teams ace, but that can play every position. They're
Right.
like, versatility is key. If you're versatile, you'll make this team. I'm like, cool. So everything's kind of upside for that. Just that was the hardest playbook I've attempted to learn ever in my life. Hardest playbook, absolutely atrocious. There's so many checks you had to make. There's so much shit. Like my
Playbook must have been like the playbook was this thick, right?
Just an iPad. There's so much shit. I didn't know, and I couldn't figure out a way to like get it down, like writing it. And plus, my position would change by the day.
Yeah.
Say, oh yeah, so and so's got a vet day today. He's down. His hamstring hurts. He's out. So instead of you've been playing Mike all week, you're gonna play dime today. Oh, cool. I'm like looking at the coach. I'm like, what the fuck is this check? Or you've been playing dime all week. You're gonna play Mike today. Or I did the whole 3-day rookie minicamp playing the strong side linebacker, and then day one OTAs I'm playing Mike. I was like, I can't learn all three of these. I'm trying, man, but I thought I had a good shot to make the team. If anybody on that field was faster than me, I was bigger and stronger. If they're bigger than me, I was faster than them. If they're the same size, I was probably stronger than them. Like I had an edge in some kind of category on everybody athletically.
Right.
So I can play multiple spots on every special teams. Like you could really just I was a jack of all trades. You could just put me anywhere on the field. Obviously, besides like gunner or anything like that, and I could play, and I could get it today, and my technique was down, and you could roll with me.
Right.
And then just first preseason game, I run down on kickoff, I run down on punt, flying down the field, great time. I play kick return, and I remember Kenyon Barner's the guy in front. I run, I'm like, oh, it's an Oregon running back. This is gonna be terrible. I run down as fast as I can, get to my spot. And I remember I got there so fast, I had so much time to like set up. And that was completely different than any story I'd ever heard. They said like, oh, I'd run down on kick return, turn around, and the guy's in my face. I'm getting my shit creamed already. I was like, oh. I turned around, I was like, oh, there's a little confidence boost. Like, man, I got down here so quick.
Yeah.
And then the third play, down on punt, I have a safety blocking me, and I'm trying my hardest to run. And I remember it was a 3-step process. Step, step, step. That third one, my hamstring went. I was like, oh shit. And literally at that point, Kenyon Barner's breaking it up the sideline for a touchdown. He's a punt returner at the time. Breaking it up for a touchdown. I run as fast as I possibly can with this dead leg I got. And you can see it on film. I'm like hobbling all the way up. I get within maybe 10 feet of him. And I'm just like, can't get him. He scores. We have to go back out on kick return. I just go, I can't go. You want me to run 40 yards full speed? I can't run full speed right now. Like the best I could do is you put me in the game at linebacker, and I could probably hobble my way through the game, but I can't not play special. Go at halftime, they undress me, they put me on the sideline, and then get the X-rays done the next morning. And by the time the fucking shit comes back, I'm told like, hey man, we gotta let you go. So I was sitting there. It was like everything went from like first NFL game to hey, you're on a flight back home, like within 24 hours. I was like, oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Yeah. Gotta be kidding me. Yeah. So at that point, I kind of knew it was over. I had opportunities or things to talk. Like by the time I got home, the Dolphins had called, and by the time my 2 weeks rehab was done, like the Texans were calling. But at that point, they had to make the second round of cuts. It's different now, but they had to make a second round of cuts before that last preseason game. So they're like, we can't cut a guy and then sign you. We have to be under a certain number, and there's nothing we can do about it. And then when practice squads come, you have me with 3 plays, and you have guys that played 3 games. So who are you going to put thousands of dollars into? The guy with three games. And I couldn't get Indianapolis to give me any tape. It wouldn't give me any of the film for practice. I was like, oh, come on, man. So thinking back now, I should have on the iPad. I should have been emailing myself all the clips.
Yeah.
Didn't do that. Hindsight's 2020 at that point.
Right.
And then from that point, I came home, worked out, tried to get back on some teams. Have tried to go do some mini camps the year after because you can bring second year guys. Because you just invited me, you don't have to sign them or anything. And the Raiders were now on the table, and the Dolphins were still on the table.
Okay.
They went two different directions. Dolphins wanted to do no mini camp and just bring their rookies in and teach them the plays. So they had no mini camp available, and the personnel guys just like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, great, there goes that opportunity. And then Raiders went the whole other opposite. They brought in 59 undrafted guys, unsigned undrafted guys for this rookie mini camp. They had 90 dudes for their rookie minicamp weekend, all rookies.
Yeah.
Because mind you, the year before was the Malcolm Butler's big play in the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's what he was to New England. He was a invitee. Wasn't signed, wasn't it? He was an invite guy. Did really well in the camp. They signed him. He ended up being the hero of the season.
Right.
Jack Del Rio really thought he was going to find that guy. So I'm like, I'm an hour away. Just let me come. I'll see. You don't have to give me shit. Give me a blank jersey. I'll bring my own shit. I don't fucking care. Just let me get in front of the coaches. And they're like, we can't do it. Sorry. So there, I'm like, shit, this isn't going to happen. That was 2016. So then I started doing some tryouts, Canada stuff. I'm not really built for the Canada game. I'm not quite fast enough. I'm not quite big enough. Like, I'm a tweener to the max in Canada.
Right.
Because if you play linebacker, you got to be like a 4-5, 4-4 type dude. If you play D-end, you got to be a fucking D-end. And I'm not a D-end. I'm an outside linebacker at best. So I did some stuff, did good workouts to the point where they're inviting me, not making me pay, doing really well in them, but just it's not really working out. So I got cool, Canada's not a thing. And then I do a camp with Arizona, and they don't call me right away.
Oh, the Cardinals?
They don't call me. The Rattlers. They don't call me right away. And then one of their dudes left to go to the Baltimore Brigade of the AFL. They had a clause you can leave to the AFL.
Yeah.
They call me and I just go, and I had just started a new job and I'm starting to get interest from like European teams. And I remember I started this job on a Monday and I told them on Friday, I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. Go play football in Arizona.
Love it.
So, but I had a couple offers to play like GFL 1 and also GFL 3 ball. I know it was the
German football league, right?
Bulldogs. Yeah, Bielefeld Bulldogs is one of them.
Yeah.
They're GFL 3, and then the Dusseldorf Panther at one point kind of, I can't remember if the date was before or after I left, but Dusseldorf had asked, and then a team in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam Monarchs. So, and I'm asking Drew because Drew played in Poland. I was like, who are these teams? Are these good? My agent said, hey, if a team comes calling, they have a better shot of flying you out for a workout if you're in Phoenix as opposed to Berlin. I was like, yeah, you're right. Okay, I'll stay.
Yeah.
So I start the first two games in Arizona. We lose the first two games because one, we play the 6-time defending champions first game. Then we play the Iowa Barnstormers second game. So Barnstormers had left the AFL for the IFL 3 years prior, and this is Arizona's first year in the IFL. So it's new rules, new everything, and I'm playing like a legit middle linebacker spot. We have a bye week. Or no, we have a game and they bring in another linebacker who actually I played with in Indianapolis named Justin Shirk. Stud of a guy, played at Bloomfield, D3 school out, but he brought in for camp in Indianapolis, and me and him were the only two white dudes on the defense. He's a baller, absolute fucking tank of a dude.
Right.
They bring him in, they say all positions are open. I was like, all right. And mind you, they had signed Justin like in October, and then Justin decided not to play anymore. So then I'm there. I'm like, yo, I'm in Arizona. He starts getting the bug, says he wants to come out, so they bring him out, and they put the positions up for grabs. So like at this point, I played end, I played nose, I played Mike, I played all spots. I remember I walked in there as a third stringer and walked out the starter 2 days later. I was like, I'm no slouch. I play my ass off that week. So I'm like, if you're putting this position up for grabs, I won the job. They ended up saying, hey, we're going to activate Justin. We're going to put you on IR for 2 weeks because while they did have a point, I hadn't played the indoor game. I was struggling a little bit on the sides of the field. There was a play where they ran a sweep across the formation, across the field, and I hit the fucking side of the wall before I hit the running back.
That wall fucking hurts, brother. Trust me, I know.
I got there. got to the wall before I got there. It didn't take a sharp enough angle. So I was like, all right. And at first I was like, I don't want to lose my job. I want to compete.
Yeah.
And then, but at the same time, I was like, I just want to get out.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the staff was kind of full of themselves. They name dropped like a mother. They were telling me, he's like, we had lunch with we had dinner with your coaches last night. Like the special teams guy in Indianapolis, and then the assistant guy had left Indianapolis to be the Jets guy.
Yeah.
So now they're both special teams coordinators at the time. Like, we just had dinner with them last night, and I'm thinking in my head, it's like, I don't want to be bred to be an indoor linebacker guy. I don't want to do that. Only reason I gave this an option is because the guy Indianapolis brought in when I got hurt was from the IFL.
Right.
From like Assumption College, and he played for the Cedar Rapids something. So I was like, maybe you do come out of this. But I was like, I just want to get film and get the fuck out for minicamp. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna make me do this 2-week ordeal and lie about an injury in this, I'm like, maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I'm done. Maybe football's over, because this is political as fuck. Way too political for $225 a week.
Yeah.
Like, this is bullshit.
Bingo.
So I ended up not playing. I ended up quitting. But I stay down there. I have a bunch of friends in Arizona. Stay down there, and while I'm there, my Europlayers active account was still active. So I got a random call from the Geneva Seahawks out in Geneva, Switzerland.
Yeah.
I just call Andrew, call my parents. Go, what's this? He goes, ask for this, ask for this, ask for this. Kind of like what the terms are. What kind of money should I be getting? Because it was their first year in Division One.
Yeah.
Euro Division One.
Yeah.
They you know how they do. If you're the champion of D2 in the last place of D1, they play and you can move up.
Exactly.
Down.
Yep.
So this is their first year in, and they brought me in because they had a guy they brought in that lied about his injury. He had a torn ACL apparently, and they didn't tell him. He tried to play, or meniscus or something. Tried to play through it, and he couldn't. They go, fuck off, kid. This is a guy from Wolford College or some shit.
Wolford, yeah. D3.
Send him out. They kick him out. They bring me in. I have a great time. Like, this is awesome. Like, downtown apartment. They're paying money. All the whole deal. I'm having some of the best we've had. First game, we're playing their number one teams, the Calanda Broncos, and like half their team is like an expansion and bought out by Calanda Beer, be like a Budweiser owned team. But a couple of the guys on their team were from NFL Europe. There's like a 13-year vet that played in Europe in the last year, and then their quarterback was from Hawaii, and like University of Hawaii, who's a tight end now playing quarterback, and the D tackle guy was from Boise State, Arizona. It's like I knew who these guys were. I'm like, I played against you guys. This is cool. Yeah. I go out there, playing pretty well, making tackles, playing rush end. Essentially, they had a solid middle linebacker, so they're just having me blitz off the edge every play, like rush. Getting home, making plays on special teams, and then comes like right before the first half. I was an up back in college, like the side up back.
Yep.
And I would return in practice. I would return the ball, and I housed like one or two of them in college in practice.
Nice.
To the point where like, hey, if it comes to you, fair catch it. Cody, if it comes to you, fucking run. Go play. I'm like, cool. Never really happened. I had like 1 9-yard return off a shitty kick one time. But I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm gonna fucking house a kick on this fucking Calanda Bronco team, right? It's gonna be so sick. Mind you, this field was grass. It was used by multiple teams: soccer, the junior team, the team below us, the rugby team. It was fucked up. There's dirt patches everywhere. So I take the ball, I run right up the field to set up blocks, and I go to cut. As I cut, I don't know what happened. I just started like slowly going down. As I'm going down, I get up and I just go, I feel good. And I sit down. They're like fucking with it. And I go, dude, I can't run. Turns out full ACL tear. Full meniscus tear, like hardcore meniscus tear. I go, wow, this fucking sucks. Because my plan was to come play their last couple games, get in the playoffs, party, go see other places, and then be done with football, figure out life when you get back. And it's a full ACL. And now they're asking me, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to get you to the doctor. And I had never had faster healthcare outside of like being like with a doctor in your room in college and shit.
Yeah.
I saw a specialist. Ended up getting booked for surgery. Happened on April 23rd. I had surgery on May 4th and ended up being the guy that was the Olympic hockey and rugby team surgeon.
Wow.
So I'm like, cool. I got the best of the best, dude. This is dope. All right, cool. Yeah. So when you get surgery out there, you can't fly home very quickly. So I'd spend another 30 days out there, which is partly why I wanted to. I didn't want to go home yet.
Yeah.
I want to stay here.
Yeah.
So I'm like hobbling around Switzerland on crutches, having a blast.
Yeah.
Technically was there for like 6.5 weeks,
Yeah.
and then I come home and just try to get life started and all that good stuff. And after I'm healed up, I'm just working out and stuff, and then I coach. Then I start kind of getting into coaching, so I'd help out Brandon and then with True Grit. But DB Select was True Grit before it was DB Select, and I actually I'm a True Grit alum. I used to work
Yep.
out with them all the time. They don't want to do the 7-on-7 thing that year. It's 2018. They don't want to do 7-on-7 in that spring. So Drew takes over, and our buddy Tom, and then I come in. So remember, it's me, Drew, and Tom for every tournament except one, going out to these tournaments, coaching this team, having practices twice a week, having a blast. It was great. And then me and him both go to Sac High. We coach at Sac High, and then literally so Drew has connections out in Europe. You'll hear all about this on Thursday, I think. Drew has connections out in Europe because he's a big businessman, like very, very savvy on athletic sports and stuff. So he has a relationship with the team out there called the Lippstadt Eagles, and this is where I went before you got to Sutter. I had literally just come back. Me and him went out to Germany together to do a 5-day mini camp.
Yeah,
and pretty much the we don't get paid, but we make them. He gets them to pay for the flights, and then we stay with the president of the team when we're in Germany. So we did 3 days in London, 10 days in Germany, and then 3 days in Prague. On the way back, he went like a couple months before and did Paris and Budapest on the outside. And so he's got his wife, his kid, the whole deal. We go out there. We put him through this entire 5-day mini camp because they play a GFL 3 team. So the Paderborn Dolphins were a former GFL 1 team that have in recent years kind of like had a little bit of a fall. So they're GFL 3 now. So they got big time dudes that are over there. They got Americans. They got money. They got nicer uniforms. They got other dudes that are former GFL 1, GFL 2 players on their team because they can pay them. And they're down the road. Think of it like Roseville, Sacramento. They're not far.
Yeah.
They're crosstown rivals. They play for the Owl Cup, the Owl Bowl. So we do a 5-day mini camp. He's taking all the quarterbacks, receivers, DBs. I got the O-line, D-line, and we're just in linebackers in some cases. We're just installing defense, installing offense, teaching them technique and stuff. And we full suit up for the game. We both put on shit. I brought all my gear. He brought his gear. I'm taking some of the junior kids like helmets and shit. And we play in this fucking game. And we ended up losing 9-6 because of a bad judgment call by the head coach. They tried to kick a field goal. He said, don't kick the field goal. Go for it. If you don't get it, the defense has been stuffing this team. Like, I'm out there dominating these guys.
Yeah.
But we have other guys on the team that are actually really good.
Right.
They just need to learn the game.
Okay.
And like they're not moving the ball on offense at all. They go to try to kick it, they block it, recover it, return it, they lose, they win 9-6.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But I ended up I had a blocked field goal, I had a sack, I had a forced fumble that they didn't give me, but it's on film. I had a personal foul, I had like 10 tackles. I was just all over the place. All over the place. It was a fucking blast. But as we're coming back, he's negotiating the Kasumba Soaks job, and when we get back, it gets announced that he's the head coach at Kasumba Soaks, and then I'm in DC as the first. I was his first hire.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't like us. It's like, well, yeah, you're talking to 2 dudes that play professional at some level. We're college grads. Like, we play football, we coach football, we do the weight room stuff. We're dogs. We don't care what you say. We're very, very innovative in what we do. And you just look at the head coach of the DC, go out to Germany, play in a game, and come back. Like, what other coaches do that? None of them.
Yeah.
None of them do that. And then our other coach, the co-DC, like our DB guy, Anton Simmons, he's a local guy. He coached against me in high school. He played at SC back in the 90s. Like, he's a fucking baller too. Like, you just hate us, but we're good.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I played. We were supposed to go again this year. I don't know where we were going to go. We might have gone to the same place. We might have gone to Hungary. I'm not sure. But we just give our services out and just like, let us come out there. We'll do whatever you want. Just pay for us to come out.
Pretty much.
But yeah, so that's the last time I played. COVID fucked it up this year. Hopefully next year we'll get to go again because it's fun. I realize why I don't play anymore because that next day, the next few days, I'm screwed. My body hurts.
Yeah.
My ankle's still swollen from that game. Like I rolled my ankle like a mother. It was purple, black, white, the whole deal. It looked like a fruit salad, and it was gone.
Shit.
So
yeah.
It's still swollen today. It's still bigger. So it's me do it one time a year, 2 times at best if we can make the championship game in October if our schedules align.
Right.
But it's a ton of fun. But it's just coaching football just to keep it going. It's a natural progression. I can't sit here behind my TV screen with all this knowledge and not do anything with it. It's mainly just you got to let kids know like what to do.
Giving back.
It's something that it's just be the person you wanted to be. You wanted it around when you were younger. Like I have all this knowledge. I'm like, oh, if I knew this when I was 18, 17, 16, this would be amazing. Now it's just like here's everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not nice about it either. It's funny as Moses, who's the kid that's going to Cal, he's already signed, sealed, delivered. His highlight tape was insane. But I'd graded his highlight tape and I'd yell at him all year. It's like, all these places suck, dude. Like, if you do everything I'm telling you to do, you have Alabama and Nick Saban knocking on your door.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're right. Like, you'll learn eventually, but just you got to get past me yelling at you and telling you suck to realize what I'm saying is true. Yeah. But it's a ton of fun. Obviously, football is an interesting community, small world. You know everybody that plays. You're about one person removed from everyone. It seems like, and then you just gotta get with it. You just gotta be. If there's a lot of wrong in it, I see it being done the wrong way. You just got to involve yourself and do it the right way. And just hopefully people catch on and you make sure that you can touch the kids that you can handle, kids that you have access to, do it the way they need to do it and get out the way they need to get out. So that's kind of it. That's the long ass football story.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. And kind of, parting thoughts. I know you have to go to your class, but kind of like, I mean, what's up with COVID and everything? What have you? I mean, we talked about this earlier, but kind of. Has COVID kind of expand your perspective as to what's next for you, obviously, because you still coach, you're still going to be playing Germany. Obviously, Andrew's coming on the show on Thursday. We're going to talk a little bit more, obviously, the Eagles. What's a fucking trip, dude, is that so I played at West Valley, JUCO 2009. The quarterback who won the league that year, Kevin Vi, was a QB, and he started for the Eagles, and Andrew was his teammate in fucking Germany.
So Andrew blew his knee out, and they brought in Kevin because they needed. I think Kevin had left Berlin.
You left Berlin, yeah.
Something work out in Berlin. They brought him in because they needed a quarterback. So they kept trying to get Drew to play. He's like, dude, I can't. Like, I can maybe hobble out, but I can't play. So it's like, you need a quarterback to kind of run the offense out there. So they brought him in. So they're on the team at the same time. While I was there, he has some stories. You guys got to ask both of them. They got some interesting stories when they're out there.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's never, like you said, everyone's separated by one fucking person away. Like Darius Prince, my first guest on the show, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He played semi-pro like I did, and then kind of like you said, the natural progression. He went from the Eagles to the NAL, then to the IFL, and then to the NAL to the AFL. He won Arena Bowl 30. He won Arena Bowl MVP, and then he got to the Eagles practice squad, and then he played in the AAF, and then he played in the fucking XFL. The dude's fucking all over. You know what I mean? And it's like kind of like his coach he trained with at the AAF with the Commanders was my coach at West Valley. And then and I'm just like, dude, holy fucking shit, dude. Like kind of like you, like all like the NFL receivers came to our practice because my coach was the coach of San Jose State. So James Jones was who we worked with, and obviously it was like kind of like a feeder, kind of we talked about. Like SJC was like a feeder to SJSU, and then my coach K Dub left. Keith Williams, he left for Fresno State, and then I left for West Valley because I'm like, dude, if Dub's not here, I don't want to fucking play her, dude. Like I'm not gonna know the scheme. Yeah, as a slot, kind of what you said, you have to. I'll special team run a slot. So it's like I'm okay with like moving around special teams, but if I have to relearn the offense and like be an R and be like and kind of like I'm just like, dude, just send me to a new school, like. Yeah, I mean, it's just like
as long as it's somewhat of the same. The hardest always thing because football's football.
Yeah,
different stuff. There's a lot. It's when the terminology gets mixed up.
Bingo.
Like go and like, hey, this is Sam. They go, no, that's Ram. Well, fuck, man. What you're saying is this. That's my flag. Exactly. There's 9. Yeah. You say 9 route. I say corner route. Like, oh my god. That always kind of screwy because you're sitting there just translating in your head the whole time. But it's football. You might have 2 different words, but still the same route, still set the same way, still the same scheme, still has the same base behind it. So your cover 3 could be called Rambo by one and Bimbo by the other, but you just got to know it's fucking cover 3. So it's hard, but it's always the because the shit doesn't change too often.
Right.
It's always the terminology that'll fuck you up.
Exactly. I mean, kind of like we talk about when you're in Indianapolis. What fucking check is this, right? Because I mean, there could be a different term. You know,
they switched like the Ram, Lion, Rip, Liz, all that to East, West, and all of a sudden I didn't know what a compass was.
Fuck, dude.
I was like East, West, stop, East, back. I go, what the fuck's it called? This is to the right. Fuck. And the simplest thing became the hardest because like you don't need to stack that on top of me right now. I'm still trying to learn everything else. Like. What formation checks to what defensive call? Like, fuck, man.
Fuck. This is man. It's a grind. But kind of like outside football, obviously, you do the MMA thing. And then obviously the viewers want to know about the Mariah Carey dance video that went viral last October. You know,
It goes viral as it
yeah, I know.
It's doing more viral.
Yeah,
No, I just
exactly.
saw it. It wasn't even like a viral trend either. I just saw it. I saw some people do it, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I think I could figure that one out." I did it. It took honestly that video took like 12 tries after I taught a class at Title, and
Yeah.
the other people were just like watching me giggling and me attempt and then get halfway through and then screw it up and then go, "Dang it!"
Yeah.
But finally got it out. I mean, I got the first one that was good. I sent out. Like I probably could have spent more time and made it better, but I got it, sent it out, and then I made a mistake of posting it on Twitter, and one of our coaches got it and put it in our coaching group chat. And like my dad's in the group chat, they just go, "What the hell is this?"
Oh.
I go, "Hey man, whatever, dog. Like DMs is lit. Fuck off. Like I had a great time." And every time I leave, he's like, "You can go dance." I go, "Yeah, I'm gonna go dance after the game. I'll see you guys on Saturday. See you guys tomorrow."
Yeah, I think I saw it when you posted on Twitter. I think Don Jackson actually commented on it. I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Don always he's always got something to say. I mean, I always talk to him too, so it's fine.
It's awesome.
Like
Yeah.
he posted one time him being like FaceTime his buddy, but he didn't have a shirt on. I was like, "Dog, what the hell is this?" Put a shirt on. Your voice. So anytime it's anything along those lines, Don sneaks in.
Yeah.
You're right. I deserved it. I deserved it.
Man, that's awesome, man. Oh, I forgot to ask. Actually, you mentioned your dad. Yeah. So your dad, you coached with your dad last year, right?
Yeah, my dad was the O line coach, and then would help me on D line.
How was that like?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
Because I've always been coached by my dad. I never coached with my dad.
Right.
And then my dad is actually a good counterpart for Drew as well. So Drew really valued my dad being on the staff because he's very old school, no frills. So while Drew is very eccentric and the plays he likes to call and the plays he wants to run, my dad will be there like, "Hey, Joe, let's do this." So they work pretty good together. That's why we did so well in our first year, is just to bring a little bit of experience in because it was Drew's first head coaching varsity job.
Yeah.
But Drew's been coaching for a while. Drew's been offensive coordinators and JV and varsity teams. He's been around the game a long, long time. There's like 4 quarterbacks in Division One right now that are trained under him when they come home. Like the current Mountain West Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Carson Strong in Nevada. That's works out with Drew consistently. Quarterback at Wyoming now at Idaho State, Tyler Vanderwall. That's Drew.
Yeah.
There's plenty of dudes all over. So it's very, very just always turning. I'm different. Like this is the defense. This is how I roll it. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I call it. Drew's always just fixing it. Always trying to find new shit. I was like, fuck it. You can tell him. You can get him. Fuck, let's do it. Sometimes I just go, man, these kids can't understand this. We're just going to keep it simple. But he's very, very innovative in what he does. And then just the way he runs the stuff is big time. It's mega stuff. Stuff. Love being around him. Love the culture that he's built over at Sumiso. So big fan of that. And then same thing, having my dad a part of it made it even cooler.
Right. I mean, kind of like it's almost like a family at that point, right? It's not just because you and Drew obviously being teammates over, in Germany, however else long you guys knew each other, and your dad's a part of it too, and you guys are able to kind of bounce. It's almost like you're bouncing and ping ponging and just trying to see what works and what sticks. You know what I mean? So
he never had met my dad. He just knew about him. Yeah. So when he hired me or like asked me, I'm like, obviously I'm going where you're going. Wherever it is. He was trying to find his other defensive guys, his DB guys, running back coaches, who's he going to keep on the staff. But he's just like, I need your dad.
Yeah.
Like, I need your dad. So I mean, I just gave him his number, called my dad within 10 minutes. But my dad's like, I didn't answer, but your buddy Drew called me. I was like, prepare. You're ready to talk.
Fucking awesome, man. And then also, what was I going to say? Dude, I already lost my train. Yeah, because I mean, when I was at Whitney, Zach McNally. Do you know Zach by chance?
Not personally. I just know who he is.
Yeah, so Zach basically.
We have a couple kids that play out there, so.
Yeah, because Zach and Coach Lapina, who also play at Washington State, Zach actually played at Boise. They were 05, like high school, and like I was 08, and so they knew my brother from Foothill because they play at De La Salle. And so when they came, so when I applied for the gig, they're like, "Are you Omar's brother?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude," and like, "Oh shit!" And it's like, and then I met Zach's dad on we had the 7-on-7 tourney and De La Salle was there. We made it to the semifinals, we lost, and then I met his dad. And kind of to your point, it's like football, like it's really. I feel like when you're in the coaching ranks, then like if it's been passed down from you, it makes it like it's almost like it's almost second nature to kind of involve those who kind of, were there, to kind of lead you, because
Oh yeah,
then those lessons you can instill in your kids, just for them seeing it
yeah.
firsthand, you know.
You
So
have
I
to.
mean,
You have to. You can't just go around trying to get new people. So it's always constantly. If there's guys that are good guys on the staff that get taken, you keep them around. Just finding good coaches. Good coaches are hard to come by. So you
yeah,
keep them around as long as you can. Try to make them as happy as you can.
100%, 100%. So outside of football, what else? What else do the listeners need to know about the better looking version of Chris Long on at the end long at the end line?
I wish I was as accessible as him. That was one of my favorite players when the Rams were kind of in their down dark years. Big
Yeah,
Chris Long.
yeah,
I was like, I hope I could do it, but he was bigger, stronger, faster, better player. Like, man, trying, can't quite, but I'm a big fan of Chris Long. He's definitely somebody that if you're into football and you like, just regardless of what portion of the game, if you like the outside part of the game, that's definitely someone you should look up to. Because
yeah.
that dude is a man. That dude is a man. He's a stand-up guy. Chris Long is one of the good ones.
Yeah, because I also remember when we were talking about the whole Colin Kaepernick debacle last year, and you also knew kind of the bullshit that kind of transpired with that. And then I don't know who the guy was. He was basically saying, the perception. His perception is that Kaepernick is declining this, but then you were also kind of talking about what actually the terms of the agreement of the contract, right? And Chris Long also kind of
Oh,
back.
there was stuff in that workout agreement, the one that they were setting up. There was
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like some underlying stuff. I don't know the details of it. It's just what
yeah,
I've heard from some of the reporters that actually dug down, like the lawyers that looked down into it. There
yeah,
was a lot of stuff where, like, if he got hurt, they weren't going to cover it, or a whole bunch of like fluff in there in that
yeah,
fine print and stuff. So obviously, he's not going to do it if it doesn't benefit him. I mean,
yeah,
that's a business decision. And when you get to the game, it's a business.
yeah,
And ever since I played, all the way up from college, all the way through the NFL and the AFL, IFL, it's business.
yeah,
It's exactly what it is. It's a job,
yeah,
but you're playing a game, but it's a job. It's a very very weird line you got to toe because JJ Watt alluded to it, I think, in a post yesterday, because they're 4-11 in Houston. But there's people that care about it, and if you can't wake yourself up today to go do your job with some passion, there's no reason for you to be there.
yeah.
But it's that kind of, am I waking up because this is fun, or am I waking up because this is a job?
Right.
That's an interesting kind of idea you play with, because hey, do something you love, you never work in a day. But if you do something you love for work, it no longer becomes for pleasure. It becomes work now. It's not
Right.
on your time. It's now your job. So
Right.
it does take a little bit of glamour, I guess, away from it and the fun. Because I will tell you this: the most fun I've ever had playing football were the 2 times out in Europe, because it was just with dudes that don't, like, they have jobs that pay more than I make in the States, and they play football because they love it and they want to learn.
Exactly.
It's not even like they're reliving glory days that were never there, reliving days of like I was out there like reliving days. They want to learn. It's just, I've never seen a group that was more receptive on learning and wanted to put it into action. I've never seen bigger fans. It was just so much fun being out there, because like, we're here for fun. We're
Yeah.
not here because if it's a job. It's not here because you have to work. People are there on their own time, paying their own way, having fun, wanting to learn, asking about this. Like, it's insane how big football is in Europe as opposed to here.
It's crazy you mentioned that, because also with me, like with this ring right here, it was semi-pro, the Falcons. We also played scrimmage against some of my former teams I played in the AIF, indoor teams like the West Michigan Ironmen, if you're familiar with them.
I've heard of them.
That's Yeah, exactly. That was why I enjoyed playing over there, because even though it was semi-pro mix of pro, those guys were so receptive because they hadn't played outside of high school, and they wanted to, kind of to your point, either use it to get filmed to get to the next level, kind of like what Darius Prince did, who ended up making it to the fucking Eagles practice squad, which is fucking amazing, or just like,
Yeah,
they just want to learn, they just want to get better, and I enjoyed it. I'm
yeah,
most proud of this ring. I'm like, all right, I was like, I got to be a leader. I got to be like, kind of instill some things about special teams, some things about slot, and just kind of, that's what helped me kind of, transition to coaching now. And yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, that's what makes it more fun when you see the guys kind of they're receptive and they just do it for the love of the game. It's so much easier, to kind of make yourself motivated to do it. And JJ Watt, I know Brett Swain, your boy, right? He posted that on his story too. He's like, this is the right reason, accountability, and I totally co-sign with that, 100%.
you
So
have to. That's a man decision.
yeah,
It's a man statement, and I
yeah,
don't want to be like masculine or whatever the term is now by using the word man, but that's something you got to step up and do. It's Anybody can say, "Oh, this is hard. We're sucked. We don't want to show up." I'm playing football for fuck's sake. I even at one point I was like that, sitting there at school and they're talking about this is your job. I was like, bro, I'm playing a game I played since I was 6 in
Right.
fucking front yard. But it is a job. It's a mix of both. You got to have fun with it, but it's also like I got to do my work. That's
Right.
why someone had asked me why there was so much like uproar about James Harden coming back kind of fat or looking fat in that picture when he came back with the Rockets after missing the first 2 weeks and being all over Atlanta and Vegas and not being with the team and doing off-season workouts with them. It has nothing to do with how do you perform. It's like no, you're a professional. And there's the way you do things. There's no
Yeah.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no opinion about it. There's no
Right.
way. Your way there is the way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that when it comes to it. So it's you have to do it a certain way. When you're a professional, you show up on time, you do it how you're supposed to do it, and you don't. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You work. You come in the best shape. You don't get to be in bad shape because this is all you do. You
Exactly.
don't get to suck on the football field because this is
Right.
all you do. Even though kicking is really hard, you don't get to miss kicks.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Right.
Quarterback, you don't get to throw it. That's all you do. That is your job. You have to perform. And if you don't take it seriously, you don't do it, it's going to show up on tape. So
Yeah. So actually, no. Back to NBA. Who's your NBA team? I know you're a Rams fan, but who's your basketball team?
Lakers.
Lakers.
Well, I grew up growing up down there, big Lakers fan because big Lakers fan because when I'm 10 years old, 10 to 12, they're fucking three-peat. Kobe Bryant, Shaq.
Hell yeah. Kobe and Shaq. Yep.
2001, 02. Like you get molded by
that.
Yeah. And then obviously the Rams because my dad's a Rams fan, and then they had their success in 99 and 01. So I'm watching them going, wow, I'm 9 years old or 8 years old watching the Rams just dominate.
Yeah.
Go to the Super Bowl. Marshall Faulk's my favorite player, obviously. Went to San Diego State, played for the Colts. Favorite team is the Rams. Big fan of all that. And then baseball is the Angels and the Dodgers in a mix for the same reason.
Yeah.
Because you grow up playing on like the Dodgers Little League team, or you go up going either LA or the Anaheim for the game.
Yeah.
Grow up going to those. And then obviously Mighty Ducks and the Kings, LA Kings are my hockey teams because those are 2 teams nearby. Like I've never been to a Ducks game, but I've been to a Kings game.
Yeah.
But I'm a Ducks fan because it's Anaheim over LA for me.
Always, yeah.
But the Clippers can suck it.
Fuck the Clippers, bro. Dude, you see the game yesterday? The score?
Oh, it's hilarious. The Clippers are a San Diego team. They need to go back. Same thing with the Chargers.
No, they do. Because I mean, LA.
They're both San Diego teams. I don't know why they decided to go to LA because the only team that should have a claim to LA and football sake is the Rams.
Yeah.
They're the team. They were there. I think 46. They were in Cleveland, and then from 47 all the way through 94, they were in LA.
Yeah.
Like they're the team. And then the Raiders were only there for a little bit, and then they left to go to Oakland. I mean, but their time span is not as long, nowhere near as long as the Rams. They have the right. That's their area. So it'll always be like that. So Chargers got to go back.
Yes.
And I take a little bit of that because I mean, fuck, I played in the same stadium as them. Like it's the Chargers and the Aztecs. That's what you do.
Yes, sir.
So which they're tearing down piece by piece right now for our new stadium. So
all
they had to do is build a new stadium. The Chargers wouldn't have left.
Yeah, oh, really? That's all it is. We save the Raiders. The Raiders up here.
They wanted a new stadium.
That's it. Just build a new stadium. Because fucking Alameda County is so fucking broke. It's like they can't do shit about it. You know? Yeah.
They're so bad.
So bad, man.
So it's a shame to see it go, but it was a shitty stadium. Like now, great when it happened, but at this point, it's falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, and you can tell, like, same thing with Candlestick. You know, obviously when Levi's was being built, you could tell Candlestick is like it's like a knee in the back, and it's like the fucking turf, the field conditions. I mean, we know this. So you see the field, there's like the rough patches which they never were able to resurface just because of kind of like and Brett talked about playing Candlestick during January. It's just really tough, you know what I mean? Because it's cold, but then the turf is not not level.
Swirly winds that get in there.
Yeah.
Like I haven't played there, but I've been to a couple games and like you freeze your fucking tits off.
Yeah.
I got a jacket on, just woo.
Exactly. Oh, dude, that's what I forgot to ask you. You're doing boxing. Have you ever considered doing MMA?
I thought about it. I wrestled in high school, and then I started doing MMA after I stopped wrestling.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to get hurt. I'd already signed my letter of intent, so I worked out at a gym here. Did like 3 gyms down in San Diego. Worked out at Ultimate Fitness in between camp and stuff, and then just never really I thought about it. It was almost more like a pipe dream. I think if I could go back in time when I was 23 after I got cut, like maybe go for it full time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find like Team Alpha Male specifically. It's a lot of guys that are like 100 pounds lighter than
Yeah.
like 155 is their biggest weight class. Like there's not really a place because I trained them for about 3 weeks in July, is right when Chad Mendes fought McGregor in 2015.
Yeah.
I was there every day training. It was like, yeah, I'm 240. Like the closest guy was like a middleweight dude. But that was before he could cut down to weight. Like I'm so much bigger, and like it's hard for me to get like work. Like striking work I could, but if it came to like, hey, we got to do jiu-jitsu, we got to do groundwork, there's nobody here for me to work with. And then I was just kind of like upset that I got hurt. Never really walked back in there. And then when a boxing gym opened up, it was just more like hit fitness, like hit the bag, do music type stuff. I got involved with that just because for fun. But if I could go, I mean, now it's too late to start. I'm so far behind the mix, and I have a full-time job, and I do other things. Like you have to commit. That's the one thing I don't think a lot of people understand, especially in things like you have to like do that thing. You can't just go be good. You can't go look at the people on TV and go, I can go do that. It's like, no, you got to like start 15 years earlier, and then you got to do it every single
day. Every single day.
I don't care. Like I can never touch a football for the next 15 years, and you could start today and decide to go try to play football, but I'd still be a better football player than you 15 years from now. Me not doing shit because I have more years.
Yeah.
Stacked. Even these years where I'm not, I'm still kind of because I think about it all the time. Like it's just you're never gonna catch up. So that's why the guys you fight, like you don't walk into the UFC and fucking just do well unless you're just like a freak athlete, which you may only make it so far. Greg Hardy went on a run, but he was fighting mediocre guys. He is now being starched by dudes who have been doing it since they were 15.
Exactly.
Like you cannot beat the guys that have been doing this since they were 15 years old. And that's just how it works. That's why the whole Jake Paul, Logan Paul thing.
Dude, talk about it. Talk about it. Yeah.
Like one of his bigger, like all he has is one professional win, which is Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson had no business being in the ring either. That should have been an amateur fight.
Right.
Logan Paul lost to KSI and Drew. They're both not boxers. So if they go in the ring with a real fighter, they're gonna get demolished. Like you take Conor McGregor, for fuck's sake. Conor McGregor is an elite striker in UFC, but he's not an elite striker in boxing. He's not an elite boxer because he'll go against Floyd Mayweather, who weighs 15 pounds lighter than him, and Floyd Mayweather will put on a clinic. Canelo put on a clinic. These guys will go in and dominate them in the boxing ring. Obviously, you take them and put them in a cage. Obviously, you're going to wrestle fuck them until they're dead. I mean, that's just how that shit works. James Toney fighting Randy Couture back in the day. James Toney was a multi belt champion at heavyweight. He goes and fights Randy Couture in a cage. Obviously, he's going to get dominated. He doesn't know how to wrestle. Put him down, choke him out. But you put him in a boxing ring, I think James Toney pieces Randy Couture up all day long.
Exactly.
So that's why the guys that like Alistair Overeem has never touched UFC gold. He's fought for it a couple times because you get on the ground, you get into like pure boxing stuff. But he's an M1 global kickboxing champion. He's or K1. He won the K1 Grand Prix in 2010. That is the elite of the elite. Like think of Bloodsport type shit. That's big time. But one also, he's from the Netherlands. They're the best kickboxers in the world. That's just kind of how it works out. So he'll dominate. If it's kickboxing, he's beating the shit out of everybody in the UFC.
Easily.
But since it's mixed martial arts, he's taking on guys. You got the massive power of Ngannou. You got the wrestling prowess of Stipe. Like there's just guys you can't hang with. So having one skill better than the other doesn't really work. So you'll never catch up. You'll never ever catch up. Like you're not putting Stipe Miocic in a ring with Anthony Joshua, and he's not going to beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. Just longer years. It's just math at that point.
Yeah.
Math at that point. That's just how it works. So for me to go in at 30 years old, like I might be okay, but the best you get out of me is maybe like an Eric Anders career with just a tough dude with power, but just gets knocked out by the good fighter. And honestly, I don't have the time. I'd have to quit a couple jobs and really just kind of hunker down in the gym and really just put money aside to do it. You need money to get into it. You need money to get in it and everything,
honestly. Yeah. So kind of let's talk about actually before we do that. Let me Brock Lesnar. What do you think about him? Because he never played football since high school, and he gets on the Vikings and he's the last person cut, and then he goes to the UFC without, he wrestling. He'll have a champion wrestler, but he wins. But then he's like you said, when you go against tougher competition, he kind of gets exposed. But he's still kind of, you know what I mean. So I mean, it's kind of like the anonymous.
It's exactly why he got to Vikings minicamp and didn't make it.
Yeah.
You give him the opportunity because he's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
Fun fact: Stephen Neal, who was the right guard for the Patriots during their Super Bowl run in the late 2000s,
Wrestled Brock Lesnar and beat him.
He was Cal State Bakersfield. Never played football in college because Bakersfield doesn't have a team. And all of a sudden he's starting in the NFL. Has a couple Super Bowl rings to go with it, just out of chance. So sometimes you can get chances that you can try out. So you bring the rugby guys over from Australia, bring the Australian rules guys. You bring dudes that play in GFL like Morris Bowringer. Bring them over. Sometimes they translate. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
It's just kind of you can work with that. Football's a little bit different when it comes to that, because it's not a specialty. You could take athleticism and you could figure it out. But sometimes they'll last, sometimes they won't. But in the sense of fighting, like wrestling is the best base for any fighter in the UFC. Just because the way you train, kind of the mindset behind it, and then just the strength, the bone density you get from training like that. You take a wrestling workout, like a collegiate wrestling workout, versus just your club or a club jiu-jitsu workout is 10 times harder than jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And you can't even, if you're going to argue on that, you don't really know what you're talking about, because it's a totally different mindset. Like you roll around, you work moves, you just have some fun. You can kind of go hard here and there, but it's just like, let's go roll for 15 minutes versus wrestling where you got 3 guys coming at you in the Shark Tank, and you're going to go 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 to the point where your body's broken, essentially. Like it's a totally different animal. Wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. That's why there's more wrestling champions than there are jiu-jitsu champions in the UFC. It's a different animal because you can teach anybody striking, teach them how to punch. That's why you'll see, like think of it this way: 2 jiu-jitsu guys will jiu-jitsu their ass all day, but 2 elite wrestlers will not fuck with it. They go, nope. Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, they're like, yeah, it's gonna be a 5-round boxing fight. Neither of us are going down because you can't.
Yeah,
you can't unless you impose your will. You can be the best wrestler in the world in the United States, but if you're 155, you're gonna go fight Khabib, you're not gonna wrestle him. You go, nope. Not gonna do it. Sorry. But if you're an elite jiu-jitsu guy, like think Charles Oliveira or Tony Ferguson, they'll get down and start snaking all day.
Facts.
RDA versus Maya, any of them, Askren versus Maya. They're gonna get down, they're gonna wiggle it out all day long because that's what they're good at. But wrestling, you just go, I'm not fucking with that because I'm gonna get not doing it at all. So, but very interesting.
Very interesting. It's funny because Josh Koscheck, when I was training for my AFL tryout in 2010, Josh Koscheck was training at the MMA gym next door to me, and he's like my size, and I got to see him, I got to meet with him. I was like, dude, he's fucking awesome. And then I'm like, so kind of, what's your secret? He's like, just grappling, legitimately just grappling, because different styles will not be able to like you said, the ultimate style is grappling for anyone trying to get into MMA.
Yeah, the only guy that could do it better than him was George St. Pierre.
That's the only guy. And then
he fought for the title. He got the shot. George St. Pierre is the best. He's not the best wrestler, but he's the best grappler. And kind of a mix of everything. And if you can't fuck with him in that, you can't fuck with him in that. Until it's styles make the matchups for sure, but wrestling is always elite. 100%. Wrestling will always be the elite.
100%. That's why I still watch pro wrestling. But yeah. Shoot, man, I don't know what else to ask you, bro. I mean, this has been fun, man. It's kind of, I feel like I got to get to know you better, even though I've kind of known you, but I haven't really got to actually know you. So kind of, what I mean? We actually got to finally sit down, just, have like a unfiltered. Yeah. So kind of talk to me, or kind of what you mentioned, what you're involved with. Is there anything you want, anyone to know about, kind of like imparting thoughts about kind of, what you're involved with, how anyone can kind of, get involved with maybe your training or your coaching, kind of, anything.
Yeah, main thing is if you have any questions on football, and you want to talk shop on MMA, Harleys, boats specifically, big boat guy.
Yeah.
And then any kind of weightlifting workout type stuff, shit, I talk about that daily, and I don't shut up about it. So if you have anything to say about any of that and questions, hit me up on social media. Some dumbass questions, I'll answer them. It's not about shit like that. Because it's always fun, because it's stuff I've been involved in, stuff I do, stuff I have passion for. So it's a lot of fun. To talk about that. So, anybody watching wants to do that shit, fuck yeah.
Exactly, fuck yeah. And you can reach Cody at Cody Galea on Facebook or Cody High Roller on Instagram and Twitter too, or is a different Twitter handle?
Yeah, so that I think it's got one less R on Twitter.
Yeah, one less R on Twitter. Okay.
By the time you have it typed out, I'll pop up.
How did you get Cody High Roll? I never asked you that. I
Oh,
saw. I was
that was I stole that. Riff Raff. His Instagram handle is Jody High Roller.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, my name sounds like that. So I tried it, and obviously I was the third person to think of it
Okay.
on Instagram because I'm Cody High Roller or 3 R's. And then Twitter, I was the second person, so there's 2 R's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kept it at that. I'm like, you can't change it now. It's funny, funny little witty, and then people that know, if you know, you know. People know. They go, okay, I see what you're doing.
Exactly. Oh, actually, one thing before you go. Remember we talked about documentaries about the F1, the Michael Schumachers and the Sennas and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big F1 fan too. Not super big. It's more as of late. I've known about it for a while, but I definitely got more into it after the Netflix series.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not the guy that wakes up at 5 a.m. to watch the races, but I do pay attention to what's happening. I watch all the highlights. I watch what's happening, all the drama, the signings, the engine manufacturer bullshit, any kind of FIA rules, all that stuff. It's a whole another dynamic that you don't really get in any other sport. It's very, very like the overarching kind of, it's almost like a governmental system that no other really sports have, where it's a big deal when certain things happen, and just the richness of the sport, how long it's been going back, and just it's super, super cool. The way teams have to wiggle out with how much money they're getting, the regulations on what they're going to do with the floor, the tires, how the concepts work, how the strategies work. It's a whole nother animal. And just the questions that get answered out of everywhere every once in a while, like, is Lewis Hamilton that good, or is George Russell that good? Like, are they that good? But George Russell takes Lewis Hamilton's car at the secured Grand Prix and dominates, and is 2 mishaps away from a win that weren't his fault, a puncture and a fucked up double stack in the pits. Yeah. There you go. But what does that tell you? Does that mean Lewis Hamilton is, who's better, Lewis Hamilton or is it the W11 by Mercedes? You don't know. Is George Russell as good as everybody said he was? Does Valtteri Bottas not as good? I mean, it's the whole thing. You don't get it in any other sport. It's such a dynamic because drivers versus the cars they're in versus the team they're in versus what they have access to versus who's going to come up, who's going to get put down. And it's such a small market too. It's only 20 cars, 10 teams. So guys get fucked over on a seat. It's drama all the time. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and then 100%. The racing is sick too.
Yeah, the race is pretty fucking sick too, because all the storylines and whatnot. It was like I just watched Senna and I was like, oh, dude's fucking awesome. Oh, one more thing, dude. Case before you go, who's your Super Bowl pick and who's your MVP? Because I need you to sell that debate for me.
I really think it's going to be the Chiefs again. I don't think anybody's beating them.
I agree. I really
don't think anybody's beating them. The only thing I'm worried about, all I want is the Rams are in the same boat as they were last year. The Rams would have been the number 7 seed last year. They had it, but they had all their cards were in play. Their destiny was in their hands.
Yeah.
They fucked it up. All they had to do was win out. They're in. Everything fell. All the chips fell in their area. All they had to do was win the games that they had to win, and they didn't do it. And now the Rams are doing it again. Like they had the NFC Championship or the NFC West in the bag. They fumbled it. Now they're head up against the Seahawks. All they're going to do is win out, and it's theirs. Well, fuck it up. Can't do it. And now they're going to go play the Cardinals, which you never know what their deal is going to be. Maybe they come out playing really well. Maybe they don't. But if they don't win, they're done.
Yeah.
The Bears are in. So I'm sitting there going, you swear to God, if we fuck up this playoff berth with getting that seventh seed, when we should be the number 3 seed, that's really going to piss me off.
Yeah.
But then again, after that game yesterday, I was like, just fuck it. Fuck the season. Fuck it. Just leave it alone.
Exactly.
Fucking give up. Let's come back next year. Trade everything you got. Try to get that number 1 pick. Get Trevor Lawrence, because I'm fucking tired of Jared Goff.
Yeah.
It's not all his fault, but also a lot of it is. We need a deep threat fucking passer. We need a really solid middle linebacker just to appease me. I'm tired of watching undrafted guys start for the Rams and just get fucked over.
Sean McVay, if you're listening, Cody Galea is available. I have his Instagram, his Facebook, and his Twitter, and I'll hit you up on DM.
Me, man. Go trade for someone good. I'm so tired of watching the rest of our division have ballers.
Right.
I love Robert Woods. I love Cooper Kupp, but they're sluts. How the fuck are we playing? Every team we play has big downfield targets. Maybe not the Niners. The Niners are in the same boat.
George fucking Kittle, bro.
He's a tight end. He's not a big, deep threat. They have the slot tight end deal. And when the Rams use their tight ends, Everett and Higbee are really good.
Yeah.
But when you go play Arizona, they got fucking DeAndre Hopkins. When you go play Seattle, they got DK Metcalf. And then when you go play the Niners, they got Fred Warner. The Seahawks have Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright and Brooks. I was going, and we had Troy fucking Reader and Kenny Bell starting. Like the special teamers.
Right.
Like I will say it once, I'll say it again. I was the biggest hater on Corey Littleton. One a little bit because my buddy is his cousin. Like one of my teammates in college is his cousin.
Yeah.
But Corey Littleton is an all-pro punt rusher.
Yeah.
He's not a linebacker, and he's proved it again this year. He fucking Damian Kwiatkowski is the Raiders' starting middle linebacker, and they paid Littleton more than him. Like he scammed $36 million.
He did. He did.
He does not play like he's worth $36 million. He just loves to get blocked, and he's a I would say he's a ball hawk. He's a ball magnet.
Yeah.
Sometimes the ball's in the air, he'll get it. But homeboy is a punt rusher. That's what he does. Like he was an all-pro Pro Bowl punt special teamer because he led the NFL over 2 seasons with 5 punt blocks. It's unreal.
Right.
He's not a middle linebacker. I wasn't really a fan of Ogletree. I was not a fan of the dude they had, 26. I forget his name. Not a fan of the guys the Rams have had, but I mean, come on, we got to do better than undrafted and 7th-round picks. Get him the fuck out of there. Get somebody in there that's legit. Like trade some people, because all our money is in Aaron Donald and all our money is in Jalen Ramsey. We have no one else.
Yeah.
Like I'm so glad Leonard Floyd played the way he did, because I was not a fan of Leonard Floyd, but he's playing the way he should have been playing this whole time. So thank God, but he's not going to be that cheap next year.
No.
Just like Ndamukong Suh wasn't as cheap the year after.
Yes, he was.
And you go, wow, he's really good. Like, yeah, you can't afford him anymore. Get a goddamn middle linebacker, please, and a deep threat. That's it. That's all we need.
That's all.
Linebacker and a deep threat, and then just get Cam Akers to fucking stay healthy, because he's a dude. He's a guy that can stick around a while.
Fucking beast. You know what I mean?
That's all I gotta say about the fucking them.
Fucking Rams, bro. Well, Cody, man, hey, thank you so much for your time joining the One Podcast, man. We gotta do this again, dude. Shit.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after the Super Bowl. We'll talk about it.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Hey, man. Hey, Cody, enjoy. Take care. Enjoy your workout. Talk to you soon, bud.
Will do, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.